Welcome back to the Name Redacted podcast, America's most beloved podcast, the most downloaded Red Sox podcast in the world. And we are here with Will Middlebrooks after not one, not two, 3 attempts to get him on the podcast. You were the final piece of the Clark's Ketchup Series MVP voting panel interview series. We had to, I think we flip-flopped you with Jemai, and Maz, then we went in. Maz. Yeah. And then now, yeah. So hey, you were the elusive piece. You were the final piece. After this episode, we are going to be going outside the Clark's. Oh yeah, we went Lou twice. We're going outside the Clark's Ketchup Series MVP voters, and Lucas Giolito will be on the podcast next week. Yeah, it's a big get, old Lucas Giolito. But before we get to that, we have Will Middlebrooks. How are you feeling?
I'm good. So I actually just wanted to go last out of all those guys. So I just put it off. Oh yeah, I'm sick. I'm out of town. My kids. Yeah, I'm just putting it off. So you got everyone else done.
Yeah. And
then I could just go last, and everything's basically covered. So I could just sit here and hang out with you guys.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I wanted you to go last. It worked out perfect for the Red Sox. They wanted to go last with Yamamoto so that they would leave a lasting impression on him, and then end up with him signing in Boston. That didn't work out, but I know for a fact that you going last as part of the voting panel, that's going to resonate with the fans. So I appreciate you taking the time. A very interesting, I guess, slot for these episodes. This is the episode right after the Chris Sale trade. I know people did their emergency podcast, and we were going to do one, but like, what was it? It was fucking New Year's Day, right? That we were going to do one? Or it was New Year's Eve?
It was complicated, right? So we finished the pod. You were teasing the trade at the end of the podcast.
Yeah,
you legit were like, hey, there's something that might be going on. I think 2 hours after, whatever, the news breaks. We initially were hoping to do the pod, right? I think Jake and you, we both were all like, all right, let's hop on. I was doing a spot for the Sports Hub, so I hadn't seen the text. Eventually, I lock in. An hour later, my house was burnt down.
Were you on
that
moon
was
mode?
a couple days later.
Okay. I'm just asking.
For people who are wondering why I'm currently sitting in a very dark room, I posted the pictures on Twitter. What's so funny?
Because this would only happen to you where like you lost. People thought that we were bullshitting. Like when we punted the podcast for like a couple days, it was because Will. We were trying to scramble to replace Will. Then Tyler literally lost power for 2 days. And then I think the Giolito signing happened. So we did know that the signing was going to happen the day that it did. But I mean, we delayed the first 2 days for other reasons that didn't have to do with Giolito. And then you almost burn your fucking house down. So everyone was like, oh, another move must be coming. And it's like, no. Tyler literally just almost set his fucking house on fire. How did that? Like, is there anything that you personally could have done to prevent this, or was this an equipment issue?
I think it was more of an equipment issue. So I don't know. I don't think I've talked about it on the podcast, but I've told you guys behind the scenes. We've been having some electrical issues at my house where the lights have been, and if you look through the last couple of podcasts, you probably think it's my internet or my camera. The lights would just kind of tinker up and down randomly. Very concerning. Well, it got to that point the other day. All this news comes out, and all of a sudden, I'm sitting in my bed, which is right next to where I record, and a massive buzzing sound starts across the house. All the lights go as bright as you can imagine, and then boom. And the power cord that had 8 plugs in it, and I had like one of those
that kind of sounds like it's your fault, like putting 8 plugs
a little bit. Well, listen, I only had so many spots for it. It explodes. I mean, real fire. Blowing out of like the plug holes. What do you call them? A thong? I don't know. Fire everywhere. What do you call it? The prongs?
You called it a thong?
I don't know.
I heard thong. All
right.
I heard thong. And by the way, Will, these kids here, they had never heard the thong song before.
Cisco?
Really? Yes. Me and Coley introduced Jake and Tyler to the thong song for the first time earlier this year.
Thoughts, guys?
It was all right. Mid.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, okay, it was, let's be honest. It was a song kind of more of its era. It was a lot better, and now we've kind of moved on from that.
Yeah, like
it was
the thong
good.
song, it defined a generation. Like it was,
100%.
you could make the case. I don't know what year, because obviously there was boy bands were a big thing at the time. I don't know if it was the number one played song of that year, but it
Like
was
early 2000s. Like we were in probably, Jared, we're like the same age, right?
Yeah. What year did you graduate high school? You're a year above me or below me?
I was 07.
Oh, I'm 07. Yeah. All right. So yeah. I think
It was like
it was our middle school.
7th, 8th grade. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember going to like the middle school dances, and like that was the song that played it was like DMX Party Up. It was the thong song. It was Casey and JoJo, This I Promise You. It was
You gotta try to slip in some 3-6 Mafia, if you know.
That was later on. That was high school. 3-6 Mafia
that was like
high
8th
school.
grade.
What?
Yeah.
The skeet?
No,
Yeah, we were skeeting freshman year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, the sweat was dropping down the balls freshman year, and it was more of like This I Promise You was middle school. Yeah.
All right.
But either way, Cisco
Boys to Men
was kind of like a little bit before. Like Boys to Men was probably like elementary school. Yeah. I mean,
Skyler, we're not forgetting about you burning your house down.
No, it's okay. No one cares.
I had a point. Like in Boston, in the Boston area, a lot of these places were built before like the Civil War. So the wiring's not great.
No, it was very scary when it all happened. And so in classic Tyler Milliken fashion, while the power strip right here, it was very old. I'm talking like 25 years old. I found this in my basement. We are making it work with what we have.
Safe.
So I grab it while it's on fire from the bottom, and there's already fire through one end of the power strip. And the cord wraps around, what do you call this?
Why didn't you try to put it out before you picked it up?
Because it was plugged in.
Yeah, but you're just going to spread the fire faster.
Tell me you're still using it.
No. I have ordered a new one that has a surge protector on it. Shout out to the people on Twitter who sent it to me. But as it's blowing fire, I put my hoodie on it, and I'm like trying to down the flames.
Yeah. This thing's on fire. Let me throw some cotton on it.
I was trying to down it because I couldn't step on it with my bare foot anymore. It started to burn. So I start screaming. I'm like, Mariah, which is my little sister, and she's downstairs because I'm on the left side of this wall. I can't get to the other side and unplug the cord. So it's still plugged in, feeding electricity during the surge and blowing fire. Fortunately, she comes up. The monitors get knocked off. She runs, she unplugs it, and then I stomp it out outside.
And there's no video evidence of this.
Yeah, I had to make sure it was dead. I wasn't going to just risk it. I live in the woods. Anything could happen. But then they came the next morning. They got our power situated to some degree. I haven't replaced 2 of my lamps burnt out. Some equipment got damaged. I have a burn hole on my rug and the smell won't go away, but I'm still standing. I'm here.
Well, God knows what was on the rug that burnt that caused that smell. Like
Excuse me?
Yeah. You were right.
It's like it's dried semen or something. It's a nice rug.
Probably is. It's probably like a combination of dried semen, cat piss. Like there's
juice.
Definitely. Yeah. Like that's not burnt rug smell. Like that. Like burnt rugs when they burn don't smell like whatever it is that smells in your bedroom right now.
It's very chemically. Like after an hour or two, you really start to feel it.
Yeah.
But besides that, life's pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm glad, dude. I'm glad. It's good. Happy New Year.
Yeah, I'm here, I guess.
Do you have any New Year's resolutions, T-Doc? Don't burn your fucking house down. Probably the first one.
Yeah, let's keep the house standing up because my mom was very upset with me after that. She didn't talk to me for a couple days. So I'm trying to rebuild my relationship with my mother. That's my goal.
Okay. All right. That's a good place to start.
Thank you.
Will, do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Oh man. I mean, this is not fun for you guys to listen to, but I think like having my family in Boston more this summer is something I want to do because they both. So we brought up the kids individually last summer just because 2 kids. If I'm at the stadium all day and Jenny's running around with 2 kids in Boston in a hotel, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But you also said we could move into your house while I'm in town. So
yeah, I have
might take you up on that
for you guys. Yeah, if you guys want to, and I've already tested it out. Like on New Year's Eve, I hosted, and there were I think they're 4 and 7. These 2 girls were just running amok, like jumping on the couch, They were upstairs. Like they had a blast, and like that. There's nothing on my third floor, but they were up there the whole time, just having the time of their lives. So like I guess like only one kid got hurt. One kid, we had a kid fall up the stairs, not down the stairs.
I've had that happen.
That's a win.
Yeah, well, you're, I feel like that would
Athletic.
That's not a word I would use to describe.
Like I have a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old, so kid injuries, that's a win. I don't know how old those kids were running through your house. So you say girls, they could be kids, they could be teenagers. I don't know.
4, 7, and 10.
Okay, so that's a win. Okay.
Yeah. Only one injury, only one cracked toenail and a bruised shin out of all that. So
had a buffer.
When I was 8, there was a situation where my grandmother and her twin sister had come home, and I was really excited. And they were all running into my cousin's house, all this different stuff. And there was brick stairs leading up to the house. And I was trying to be athletic. I was slimmer back in these days. I was probably 10 years old.
Were you?
Yes, much slimmer. I was an athlete. I was a Brockton West All-Star 2012. Check the books, please.
What sport?
Baseball.
Okay.
Finest backup catcher you'd ever find. Finest backup catcher.
Tyler, I also peaked in 2012.
There's Facebook posts of me tweeting about you, Will, in 2012, so they still exist and
how
much I loved you.
You showed me.
Yeah, they
showed
ain't
me.
going
He
away.
showed me. He loves that. Anytime Tyler gets drunk, he likes to show athletes from 10 years ago that he supported them back then.
When I get drunk, I normally yell at Tyler on Twitter. So
It's good. It's fair.
Yeah.
And we just bounce things off of each other. It's great.
Yeah.
But I was running up the stairs and I split my chin open. Now, you probably can't see it.
Definitely
my beard
not.
doesn't cover
Pubes
where
on
the
your face.
pubes. Excuse me.
They look. It's a little puby. We've had this.
It's coming in nice. It's coming in nice right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been brushing it.
You got to oil it.
I have a beard oil, but it makes it feel greasy.
Yeah, you got to do less. Do less than you think.
Yeah, that's a good point. I kind of dab it all over the hands, a little higher on the arm.
You got shiny spots on your cheek from it. Yeah,
exactly.
I get it.
I'm a wet individual.
What?
Sorry. Continue.
Jake, do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, I'm going to try to help Tyler reconnect with his mom.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Jake, why are you involved? Do you know my mother?
No, but I just heard about the news and I want to make sure everything's all good.
Yeah.
Thank
He's
you.
just helping out. He's a helping
What a guy.
man. Jake's a great guy. And you know what? Chris Sale's a great guy too. Because I just saw the quotes. I didn't hear them. I don't even know if they were available. Like, what the is this something that press conference was only available to the media? And then the media has to tweet out the quotes? Like, what? If I'm a Braves fan, wouldn't I want to tune into that on YouTube or something? Was this not available in audio form or video form anywhere?
It's like the Giolito thing. There was no way unless you're in the Zoom call, right? You weren't going to hear that press conference.
This was
there was no media release or anything about it either. I didn't see a thing. It just
no.
I just saw quotes.
This was a take that I cooked up earlier today because of the I believe it was Juan Soto. Yeah, Juan Soto they did over Zoom and all this shit. Like, part of the cool part of the offseason was when players would get traded or signed. You used to, as a fan, be like, oh my God, I can't wait for the press conference. Like that big reveal, the jersey presentation, the hat, the fucking sit down questions, the pandering. Oh, pander to me. Tell me all the bullshit that I want to hear. I love that. But now you got fucking Alex Verdugo sitting in his living room being like, fuck Alex Cora, blah, blah, blah. like it's just not the same. Like, there's no prestige. There's no, it's not a big moment. Like, if I'm a Yankee fan, I feel robbed. Like, we traded for Juan Soto. What the fuck? Like, why isn't there a big press conference where he puts on the hat and the jersey for the first time? Like, that first look of, like, maybe it's not as cool for every other franchise, but like the pinstripes, a dude putting on the pinstripes for the first time, like, that's fucking cool. Like, Lucas Giolito, like, his press conference was over Zoom. It's like, this is the first time that they've paid a player that kind of money in fucking 3 years. Like, let's make something special out of it instead of just having this dude on fucking Zoom. And I'm not trying to get on any social media people or anything like that. But what a wild caption that was. Welcome home to the Red Sox account tweeted out welcome home to Lucas Giolito. Like, he's not from here and it's a 1-year deal. Like,
Wasn't it like his grandfather's from Massachusetts or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But he identifies as a Cali guy. He's in the Central Time Zone right now. I know that because we had to figure out the time. So I think he's probably still has a place in Chicago. But yeah, like the welcome home caption, I was like, what are we doing? Like, it's a 1-year deal. Like, what? Like, if it were like an 8-year deal and he's gonna finish out his career, it's like, yeah, welcome to your new home. Like, or if you lived here, then welcome home. But like, it's neither of those things. It's a 1-year deal
option, right? Like he's gonna ball out and then be like, see ya.
Dude.
He said in the press conference, he's like, best case scenario, I get back to who I was from 2019 to 2021. They're giving me the bag in 12 months. Whether it's you or it's somebody else, who cares?
Yeah.
Which is the business, right?
I appreciated his honesty though. Like the quote about like he mentioned that the Red Sox were early. They were one of the first teams to reach out, and he said that meant a lot to him. But then he also was like, yeah, like really no one else wanted me for the most part. So
right.
It's like
the Red Sox front office was probably like, shit.
Please.
Let us have this one win with the fan base. Like, make it seem like we outbid someone or we won a bidding war at some point. I guess the Mets were equally as aggressive, but when
Dodgers were involved to some degree.
The Dodgers?
Yeah, they were mentioned at least earlier in the offseason. They were a team that reached out. If we're just talking teams that talked, and I think the Orioles did as well.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, the Orioles were a team that really like. It's how many winters are you gonna wait to spend some money on pitching? I mean, Jesus Christ! Like
you said
guys
the Orioles?
Yeah.
Yeah, like their window is so open, man. It's like they don't need to add a lot, but like
it is, but it isn't
something.
Dylan Cease is right there. You have all the prospects in the world. What are you waiting for?
Instead, they went for Craig Kimbrell.
And have fun with that. Philly fans enjoyed it.
I do like their starters though. Like they have a lot of guys where you look at like on paper and you're like, meh, but then you watch them, and you're like, okay, these guys are actually pretty fucking good.
Yeah,
right? Like they got good shit. Like Dean Kramer, Bradish, like those guys, they're good. They're just not household names yet.
No. Also, was Dean Kramer? He was in the Machado deal, right?
I'm not sure.
I think he was. I'm pretty sure he was one of like 5 or 6 players that they got back from the Dodgers for Machado. But either way, he was. All right.
Yep.
I don't even know why we're talking about the Orioles, but I did want to make this point about the Orioles is that their window looks open, but they're broke as fuck. So even if you have 6 years of service time for a player or control, it's basically 4 years. Because once you get to ARB year 2, ARB year 3, if these guys are studs, then you're going to be paying them fucking, $25-30 million in arbitration. So that like they're going to fucking trade them before they get too expensive in ARB. So it's like,
or they go Atlanta Braves, which would be the best case scenario. But there's so many players now in agencies that are aware of those deals. Like, hey, don't take that 7-year, $70 million deal. Like, wait it out. You're going to get broke off twice that.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of guys that are going to go for that.
4 times that.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Either way, that's kind of what stuck out to me in the Giolito press conference was he's motivated, which is good. That's just kind of in his DNA. Like that wasn't surprising to me, but it's still good to hear that. The honesty with what the market really was. They had to do something, like it was a very Red Sox, the way that the Red Sox operate now, that signing was a very Red Sox thing to do. Like as it pertains to Montgomery and Snell and Yamamoto, all these other dudes, like they are crying poor. And I guess before we get into the stale stuff, I will kind of get into like a little bit of scoop shop stuff because there's been some juice in the scoop shop since the last episode. I don't know that any of it is like super great to hear. So what we do know is that the Red Sox are still active on the trade front. They are considering multiple avenues. Like they're not just honed in on, player X who plays for team Y, and this is where we're focusing all of our attention. They're kind of casting a lot of lines, and it seems like their energy is predominantly in the area of trade. Where it comes into free agency, is they are still crying poor. Like I talk to all kinds of agents. Like, you know, you'd be surprised. Like, everyone thinks it's just like Scott Boras is like the top dog. There's a fuck ton of baseball agents out there that represent a bunch of different guys. And dating back to, that's why I quote tweeted, I think it was your tweet, Tyler, dating back to last winter, having conversations with agents last winter. And then the report, was it Cotillo that said that like agents are complaining the Red Sox are operating like a small market team? Was that Cotillo?
Yeah, that was Cotillo. And then you had McAdam maybe a week before hearing that Jordan Montgomery was too rich for the Red Sox at this point. So all those reports kind of a week after each other.
Yeah. So agents were telling me that last winter. They were like, hey, what's up with your boys? Like, why are they operating like a small market team? And now that's kind of making its way around again this year, where like I'm getting the impression that the Red Sox are very reluctant to go beyond 2 years for anybody. Like I don't, like, things can change. And this is why, you know, you get into trouble with scoop shop stuff, is because things can be this way right now. They could change tomorrow. They could change next week. They could change by February when we get closer to the season and panic moves are made, or it's like, oh, this guy's still out here. Didn't know that. All right, let's make this move. Things can always change. But as we sit right here on January 4th, it feels to me like they are very reluctant to go beyond 2 years for a deal in free agency. So that's why they're pursuing the trade route more so than free agency, is because they don't want to spend the money. When they hear the price tag on some of these free agents that they're interested in, like, how many times have we seen a report the Red Sox are interested, or the Red Sox are in talks with, or the Red Sox are in on? Like, take that with a grain of salt, because where I had this like battle on Twitter this past week was that, oh, the Red Sox are in on Teoscar Hernandez, right? And I said, I think it was last episode or the episode before, that I was like, yeah, if they sign Giolito, they're probably going to be out on Teoscar Hernandez. And then Passan says, oh, they're still talking. So then you had one Twitter individual who, I like him. He's an asshole, but I like him. HVT. A lot of people hate him, and I understand why. He's toxic positivity.
He's ride or die for the Sox. Say what you will.
He's ride or die for the Sox. But I happen to like him, even though he can be fucking annoying a lot. So he was trying to come at me saying like, oh, like, but Carrabba said that they were out on Teoscar Hernandez because they signed Giolito. Just because you're having a conversation with a player does not mean that like it's a good thing. Like, what did we see with John Lester back in the day? It's like the Red Sox made him an insulting offer. Yes, they're talking. Yes, money was extended in his general direction, but did they have any chance of getting something done if that was the approach? No. So if that's what you're willing to spend on a player, you're out. Yes, you're talking. Yes, you're offering money, so you can have a reporter say, "Oh, they're talking," and you know it's still on the table. But if what you're offering is not even worthy of being considered, you're out. So in that sense, I think Passan and I are both correct. Where yeah, they're still talking, and yeah, they're still engaged with free agents. But if they're making unserious offers to these players, then wouldn't you, Will Middlebrooks, former MLB player, consider them to be out if it's very unserious, their offers?
You have to, like, at what point does like the shiny, like it's the Boston Red Sox, is that still there for players?
No.
For free agents?
You
like,
answer
you know
that yourself. If you're a free agent right now, you tell me.
I'll take less money to go to the Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees, the Dodgers. Like, I'll take less money because I'm going to go win, but like that's not necessarily the case when you've been in last place for a few years in a row, right? Like that's kind of off the table. So you're going to have to offer more money. And I mean, for everything you just said, I mean, that's why I feel like I don't know if there's a budget. I don't know. Like, we keep hearing rumblings of there's a, 225. You got to stay under a certain number for whatever it was for Heim or whatever. Breslow, obviously, Breslow's put in a tough spot, mainly because of the comments made by ownership.
And
right?
by him. He told us in his introductory press conference,
where do you think his
financial
words
restrictions Like, we don't have financial restrictions. Like, money will not
Who
be an
told him?
object.
He was
Who
on the job
told
for
him
2
that?
weeks, right? Like he's 2 weeks. He didn't even know what he
Right.
was talking about.
He didn't even know his coworkers' names unless they were there when he was a player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was still early. So if he's told these things and it publicly, Tom Warner says, we're going full. I know we talk a lot about full throttle. It's kind of turned into a joke at this point, understandably so.
They'll never let them down.
Never. It put Breslow in a spot. It put Breslow in a spot where everyone's like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing everything I can. He's having to get creative, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think trades, we're going to start. I think trades is where we go. I think Luzardo looks really good to me, obviously, because he has 3 more years of control.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of where we get where you were saying, Jared. You don't want to keep waiting because guys like Luzardo, who had the ability to be an ace, it's like, let him go, win 13, 14 games this year and have a 2-8. And then what's arbitration look like next year? Instead of it being $9 million this year, it's going to be 25 next year. So you want to try to trade for those guys, but then somehow extend them and like get them there for 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Craig's going to have to get really creative. If there is a budget, if there is a number he's got to stay under, whether it's that first.
There's a budget.
That first. No, there's a budget.
There's a budget. And it's not the luxury tax threshold. It is beneath that. Like it doesn't sound like they are going to be coming up.
You got to realize he's not connected to these prospects like Heim was either, because they're not his.
Right.
Like he realizes, like, you still have to have a minor league system. I get that. You still have to have prospects, but he's not connected to them like Heim was.
No.
Like, he's not going to be trigger shy on these trades. I don't think.
And I think that's why we've already seen with certain guys, like, say what you will, we knew there were offers for Alex Verdugo at the trade deadline. They felt like they couldn't get enough. Well, Craig Breslow comes in. He goes, hey, I don't care if the best offer is from the Yankees. I'll take this collection of Fitz and Weiser and kind of piece it together there. Then you go to this move with Chris Sale, 2022 trade deadline. There was an offer on the table with the Rangers, reportedly. Jared, you had it before anyone else. That was another deal they chose not to make. Obviously, situations change. But I think, and this goes to what you were saying, Will, partially about players and convincing them. Well, not only are the Red Sox where they are, where it's clear to everybody in the room, all right, you're not going over the luxury tax. Whatever you said about full throttle, that's gone. No one's taking that serious. It's a meme at this point.
Right.
Well, the guy you're talking to, and this is Cotillo's report, you're telling him, hey, we need to shed payroll before we try to sign you. Keep in mind, you're at $201 million. You're $36 million below the luxury tax. Does the luxury tax count on opening day? No, it doesn't. It counts at the end of the season. So you have all offseason to pull these triggers and pull these moves. If you're serious about, let's call it Teoscar Hernandez here, and you're worried that another team, we hear the Dodgers, the Angels are in on him. If you really think you need that player, why can't you go get him now and offload Kenley 2 weeks from now? Like, that's kind of the foresight in doing some of these moves you need to make. That's what makes me nervous, that we're not talking about 225 like Heim had to deal with last year, which when that came out, I think I was overreactionary on Twitter at the time. And I ended up deleting it a little bit later just because I thought about it. And I was like, realistically, you get to the deadline, you hope you can make a move for someone worth $8 million that keeps your eyes open in case you had a great season and maybe there's a number one pitcher you want. It's probably why Heim's not here ultimately, because he couldn't make a deal and utilize that money. But if you're at $201 million right now and you're saying we need to move payroll, no, you don't. You can hand Teoscar Hernandez this deal and be at 218, 219, call it whatever it is in terms of AAV, $18, $19 million, and then offload Kenley in a week. There's no reason that should be the kind of parameters you're working with. That's acting like there's a cash flow problem. Like you can't pay people on time, which we know is obviously not the case for the Red Sox. That's where I stand here and I'm like, the dots don't connect. You can't be telling players you need to shed payroll when you're $30 million under the luxury tax. And we know it's not Jordan Montgomery. We know it's not Blake Snell. So who the hell is it? We're talking middle tier free agents.
Yeah. Or lower tier.
Or lower, yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel like
you mean like Paxton, Ryu, like that type?
I don't even think that Paxton is
Paxton's market value is like $9 million, right? Like,
yeah, but
might be more. Look, Frankie Monta has just got 16.
That's true.
Right? Like,
come off the shoulder, right?
Paxton gave you 3 months last year where he was one of the better pitchers in the American League.
For sure.
Yeah. Fuck, man. It's
I don't want to get too deep into this. I know we want to talk Sale, but Imanaga, like, he's interesting to me. I think his tip-top attic ceiling is like a number 2, but he's probably like a 3-4. You know, so I don't. If the money's right for sure, but like, what are we looking at
Isn't
money
he
wise there? For him?
100
Like
million.
100 million, right?
Yeah,
That's
like
what we
they were
heard
talking
today.
about him getting a fucking $100 million.
See, you don't pay a number 3 or 4 that much. I'm sorry, you just I don't. See, that's a tough spot. I don't know.
Yeah, but all you need to know is more than one agent. So you know, if it were one agent, which at the time it was, like if only one agent had said this, then I probably wouldn't have said it on the podcast, because you could just make the case that like, oh, the Red Sox just didn't want to pay their client, so maybe they're upset about it. But when you hear from more than one agent who says that the Red Sox are operating like a small market team, that's when the red flags start flying all over the place. More than one agent has said to me that the Red Sox are operating like a small market team. Like they do not want to spend like whatever it is. Like if you start rolling out the numbers of like, hey, here's my client, here's what the projections are, here's what teams paid like X amount $1 million per war, and like this is a fair deal, and you've got teams balking at it being like, whoa, what? It's like, it's a very simple equation here. Like, you know what an overpay looks like. Like, you know what a panic move looks like. But when you're just trying to get your guy what fair market value is, and you're bringing out comparisons to other players in the league that are getting X amount or what they're projected to get, and you still get teams like the Red Sox being like, I don't know, man. Like that's pretty steep. It's a lot of money. It's like,
well, isn't that what? And it got thrown right in Heim's face the minute he got fired. Isn't that what the Red Sox were kind of leaking out? Like, agents didn't even want to talk to Heim to some degree because they felt like the offers were low balls or they didn't really
for
fit.
me, that was more trade related than free agency related.
But you go back, Jose Abreu a year ago, that was kind of what we heard, right? That the offer really wasn't super competitive for Jose Abreu. So it's like one of those things where, are you just not able to make these offers? Are you not willing to extend and go beyond in order to close some of these deals? We know with Yoshida they did, right? Like Yoshida, they blew everyone out of the water, apparently. It's just, where does that line up this year? Where are you willing to kind of extend? Because it seems like for Giolito, like, what they gave him wasn't crazy. I think it's a little less than some people thought because he has the opt-out after the first year. Some people thought he'd get a decent 3-year deal and he kind of say, hey, I'll take it for what it is. But like, those are the questions that are going to surround you. Because like, if you offload Kenley right now, $16 million, let's say they send 10 out, right? Or, the other team picks up 10, they get that relief. You're at 190, you're 47 million below. Like, you're going to have to do serious work to even be near that luxury tax number. Serious work that reportedly you're not interested in doing unless you're going to trade, beyond Luzardo and go pick up a really tough contract or something like that. And that's before even figuring out who's replacing Justin Turner, your most important right-handed bat last year that, apparently we look at it now and say, oh, we'll figure it out when, who's hitting between Devers and Casas. That is such a major thing that they seemingly are fine waiting it out and taking a lower tier option towards the end of the offseason if it's Adam Duvall or someone like that.
Or you hope Trevor Story finds his bat again, too.
Which I like Trevor Story. I'm a Trevor Story guy. It's not a good baseball decision to put that kind of pressure on him when he clearly has worked through a lot the last couple of years. He's trying to get back. Like, I think anyone would be thrilled for him to be a league average bat because of how great his defense was.
I think he will be, too. Honestly. Like,
do you think there's room for better, Will?
I just think, obviously, you know what you're going to do defensively. We saw that last year, right? You can miss a ton of time as an infielder and snap back in and be like game ready pretty quick. But he rushed it to get back to be there offensively. He rushed it to get back defensively because shortstop was a black hole where they played 12 different players at short last year, I think. I saw that report. But like, just having him back a ground ball to short, you're like, okay, out. Before that, it was like, shit. Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
I don't know, what's going to happen.
Not only is this not going to be an out, but it's going to be an extra base too.
Right. And and you lose that uneasy feeling that helps when you're up the middle. So hopefully Vaughn Grissom is good up the middle. We'll see. We don't really know that much defensively with him, but I don't know. I think Trevor, we've seen him put up really good numbers offensively. Yes, he was in Colorado. I get that. But like what we saw from him offensively last year was someone in between, right? He's late on the fastball. He's early on the off speed. He's cheating the fastball and then susceptible to the breaking balls down and away. And he was just corkscrewing, spinning on off speed. And they knew that. So they just kept throwing him up and in heaters and then breaking balls down and away. And he couldn't adjust. And I just think he came back too early offensively. Just because that's kind of the guy he is. I don't know how well you guys know him, but like he's one of the best guys in the clubhouse. He's a leader. It's getting really blown out of proportion, this defensive camp he's having. It's not really a defensive camp. That's what it's like turned into. He's really just having guys there for like a week to go through his offseason program with him. And he's doing it because Tulo did it for him when he was in Colorado. So these guys are coming in. They're going to workouts. They're going to defensive work. They're hitting in the cage. They're going to dinners. This is like a camaraderie thing too on top of that, which is great for the clubhouse, which that's a big part of having a GM like Craig Breslow who played the game. You look at Texas at Chris Young, you're building a team of personalities too. I was here in 2012. Yeah, we have a manager that was off his rocker. I get that. But we also had a clubhouse full of personalities that didn't mesh at all because we had a lot of talent, but we sucked because we didn't care about each other. Yeah. And that matters. It's hard to find that combination in professional baseball, but long story long, I think we get more for Trevor Story this year offensively, especially compared to last year. I mean, come on.
Also, why did I get attributed with reporting that the Red Sox were shopping Trevor Story? I didn't fucking say that. I saw it was on Red Sox Reddit. Like all the fucking like Twitter aggregators were attributing that to me. I didn't fucking say that. I think I said that there was like a tweet going around that like one of those like random like anonymous whatever
MLB insider.
Yeah, like one of those accounts. I was like, yeah, one of those said that the Red Sox were shopping Trevor Story. I didn't fucking say that. And if I did, I wouldn't say it like that. Like I wouldn't just put that up. Like how many years of vaguely letting you know a scoop without directly telling you do I have to do before you accept that I'm never just gonna fucking straight up tell you? Like that this dude on the Reddit, I'm not gonna read the whole fucking thing. This dude wrote like a fucking 5-paragraph essay. But he said, maybe this only bothers me, but I'm sick of Jared playing both sides as a reporter, quote unquote reporter. I know he's not a reporter per se, but he claims to have sources within the Sox organization and always brags about getting told things before they happen. And he proceeded to write like maybe 1,900 words from there. But like, that's the gist of it. Like, I'm just going to say this again. I am not a reporter. People tell me things, and it's not my job to break news. I don't break news, but the benefit of you following on Twitter or listening to this podcast is if you're smart enough, which this person's dumb as fuck, if you're smart enough, you will put together that I'm telling you without telling you so that it's fun for you as a listener. Be like, oh, fuck, like I kind of knew that before, like Passan broke it. I'm never going to throw out for the rest of my life a tweet that says breaking news, Red Sox traded Chris Sale for Vaughn Grissom and they're giving him 17. I had all those details. I'm not going to do that.
Jared,
the whole thing. And
people were tweeting me because I had the tweets written. I had them ready to go, waiting for the bomb to drop.
Yeah.
You had them. I didn't have to even edit them before I put them out. Like that's how legit on like source they were. I had them all typed out, and the minute I saw pass it, I was like, boom, shoot,
boom, done. Yeah.
But
so
that
like
was.
Go ahead.
So you have sources, but you're essentially a source for other people, is what you're saying.
Yeah, like I don't have any interest.
Don't give away too much. Don't dig too deep.
I don't have any interest in breaking news, but I get a kick out of like, it's kind of like when you rob a bank and you just slide the paper to the teller. It's like I'm letting you know that this is a bank robbery, but no one else, everyone else in here doesn't fucking know that this is a robbery.
It's a good feeling to know what no one else knows.
It's not even that. It's not even like I get off on it. I just I'm not going because put it this way: if you're a journalist, right? You're an ESPN reporter, you're whatever Sports Illustrated reporter. In order to break news, it's like someone will give you a tip, someone will tell you something, and then you have to go and corroborate that with like a source here and a source there, and like so that you lock down, have the story, so that you can responsibly put news out there.
Well, then you run into situations where you have guys' agents feeding you false information.
Yeah. Like I
don't
don't
look at Morosi. Look at Morosi with his agent. Shohei's agent feeding him false information.
Right.
And just they like almost ruined him for a while. Like,
right. Yeah. So I have no interest in being a pawn in agents' games. But like, I will let the listeners know without directly telling them, like, hey, heads up, like something's about to go down. Like, prepare yourself mentally, or just like subtly telling them without telling them. It's not like bragging that you know and be like, haha, I know and you don't. Like, I'm doing you a solid. Like, I'm fucking like tweet out the video of Chris Sale with no context. Yeah, I'm telling you, Chris Sale's about to get fucking traded. Like, I'm telling you.
Essentially, you just tell everyone to buckle their seatbelts.
Buckle the fuck up.
All right, we're about to hit the accelerator. Not really throttle, but we're going to touch the accelerator a little bit.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Yeah.
I like it.
So that's how I do it. That's how if you pay attention and you're smart, then you can read between the lines and you will get information before everyone else if you listen to this podcast. That's it. That's all. Just an occasional scoop guy, as they say in the biz.
Little scooper.
Yeah. But let's talk about that Chris Sale trade. It feels like a lifetime ago already because he's already had his press conference with the Atlanta Braves, which took place today. And why I said such a great guy, Chris Sale, was he basically said, I owed the Red Sox a favor. Like, I signed that extension. I took a fuck ton of money from this team. I didn't even come close to living up to the expectations. So I waived my no trade clause so that they could get back a player that will help them.
I believe him.
Of course you do, right? Like, why else? Like,
he's always said the right things, right? Yeah. Like, he's always said the right thing, almost to the effect of you're like, you telling the truth. Like, it's like almost too good. Like,
well, yeah.
But like talking to the guys in the clubhouse, they're like, that's who he is. Like, he busts his ass. Like, he did a lot of good things for that team. And there's a lot of people obviously frustrated big picture because of the injuries and the effect on the payroll and this and that and the other. But I think he had a lot of positive effect on a lot of these young guys, you know, the Cutter Crawfords, those type guys, Whitlocks, you know, they have nothing but good stuff to say about him.
That's the biggest problem to me, and I think it's a sports radio thing. I think certain people over the last couple years, people who, you know, don't respect what he did when he first got here, and with the White Sox, were showing to be one of the best pitchers of his generation. You know, 6 straight years, you finished top 6 in Cy Young voting, fastest pitcher ever to 2,000 strikeouts. Like, that's the kind of guy, but people wanted to act like him taking accountability all the time and saying those things was him just, you know, laying it on thick. It's who the guy has been since day one. He's always went out there and said, hey, if I fucked up, I fucked up. He apologized on his family's behalf, this guy. Like, that's how serious he took it. But instead, people wanted to kind of make a meme out of him that he was soft, or when he was in AAA rehabbing and he broke the TVs, that it was all for show. He was just trying to make people believe he still cared, like he was stealing money. Did you read the guy's quotes? He talked about it while it was the best time of his life in Boston. It was also the worst. You remember those spring training videos of him walking around with like the little weight attached, his head down, looking personally destroyed? The guy loves baseball and competing more than anything. It got taken away from him. And it's a guy who feels like he owes his team all the time. Feels like he has to be the guy to step up and do it. And he couldn't. Of course, it weighed on him and it brought him down. Did he ever mouth off at a press conference? Did he ever lead as a bad example? No, the guy went out there and was throwing 88, 89 in September because he still felt like he owed it to you when he probably should have been shut down already.
Mm-hmm. I think like the whole to kind of go off of what you said, Tyler, I've always kind of looked at in the last couple of years, like Chris Sale from like the mental perspective. And I don't know how the fuck he did it. I don't know how he made it through the last 2-3 years, whatever it was, where look at Chris Sale in 2017, 2018, those years where he was at the top of his game, dominating. And Coley made the joke when we interviewed him, I think it was in 2019 in spring training. And he was like, it looked like after you struck out Machado, that you wanted the Dodgers, and like you just won the World Series, but you wanted the Dodgers to send more hitters to the plate so you could strike them out too. Like, that's how competitive Chris Sale is. And when you have, it's not just like it's hard enough when a player gets Tommy John surgery and you know you're staring down 18 months of recovery time. This man went through every type of fucking random injury on top of that. Like, you had the elbow surgery. You had the bike incident. You had like the comebacker off the hand. Like this dude, it must have felt like why me? Why did God choose me to have this happen to? Because elbow injuries are going to happen. You look at the body type. You look at the wear and tear, the miles on that shoulder, on that elbow. We
His
knew
delivery,
that, like over the life of that deal, whether it was the years of control when he first got here, or if it was during the years of that extension, we knew that, what was that? The Jack in the Box? You knew that at some point fucking Tommy John was popping up during his Red Sox tenure. And it did. But he dealt with shit on top of that. So when you look back at that moment of him dominating 3 hitters in a row to strike out the side to secure a World Series title for the Boston Red Sox, what you're doing is kind of seeing like the end of the Chris Sale era. Like that was kind of it. Like he had that one moment where I forget, maybe it was Kyle Tucker, I want to say. He like went upstairs on him and punched him out, and he was screaming coming off the mound in the ALCS in 2021. That was really it as far as peaks or blips. Like I remember this past year when he came back and he was blowing 99 past Bryce Harper in Philly back in May. That was yes, like that was good times. But the signature moment is obviously getting the final out of the World Series. And it's almost like he sold his soul for that moment. Like it was a lot of what I can only imagine to be mental anguish for this man, having to sit on the sidelines multiple times, have multiple, I don't even want to call them failed comebacks, because he did come back. It's just he would just get put on the sideline again once he did come back. It sucks. But to his point, he said he felt like he owed the Red Sox one. Like, I owe you. You guys paid me a fuck ton of money. I didn't live up to the deal. And if me going to Atlanta can get you back a piece that you feel is going to help this organization moving forward, then I'm going to put my feelings aside about probably wanting to stay in Boston. Like, I'm sure he didn't want to leave. I'm sure he has a lot of great memories here, but like he said, a lot of bad ones too. So it's kind of like, yeah, in a perfect world, Chris Sale would have dominated over the last 5-6 years and retired as a member of the Red Sox. That's not how it worked out.
And a clear Hall of Famer that no one could dispute. Nobody could say a word. Yeah. In the last couple of years of him not being able to be on the mound, I think you look at the peak and you say, that's Hall of Fame. Like you look at that resume, he never won one, but you can't deny the numbers, especially, all-time K per 9. He is the all-time K per 9 leader right now at 11.1. Like that was Chris Sale. And the way we talk about Dustin Pedroia and how he got robbed of that Hall of Fame career, Chris Sale, what makes me happy and makes me want to root and hope, this extension works out for him is that maybe if he can stay right for a couple more years, 2 or 3 seasons, and he gets, 25 starts a year or whatever, he can maybe get that Hall of Fame case at least to a point where people have to really consider it and put a lot of thought into it. Pedroia obviously doesn't get that same thing, but that's what got taken away from him. A guy who was a clear Hall of Famer, no one could say a word, and bad luck and injuries. And he never turned on the fan base while sports radio fucking crushed him, made fun of him all the time about his finger, about how he didn't start opening day last year. Did he ever complain? Did he ever bitch? No, he was the guy, and Alice Cora said it again and again. He was one of those guys he could lean on to push those young guys. Will mention Cutter, someone who's down in Florida, local, alumni. Connect with him. Let me push these guys to be the best version of themselves, even if I can't be the best version of myself at this point. How many athletes are so selfish they don't even care, right? They don't care to be that mentor. They don't care to push guys. This guy spent entire winters again and again down in Fort Myers. And yes, he lived close, but he spent the time with young guys and connected with them and made sure, hey, whatever I've learned, I hope I can pass it on to you so you can contribute here or somewhere else. This is just what I owe the game.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys who he gets it, right? He understood what playing in Boston meant. He understood. You talked about him being crushed publicly for everything he was going through. That's just the nature of the beast of playing in a market like Boston, right? And he got that. He understood it. That's why he never did turn on the fan base. He never got mad at or went after these guys that were trashing him daily on the radio. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I hope he has a couple more good years. I mean, I'm looking at the deal right now, right? Like, yes, he did Boston a favor, but Boston's actually, it looks like they're paying like almost half his salary the next 2 years, right?
Yeah, they sent 47%
of his salary over the next 2 seasons.
Mhm.
So it's really, I don't want to change direction too much and get away from Sale because we're giving him some love right now. But this was a genius move by Anthopoulos. Like, he lowered his CBT hit from the original 27.5. He got rid of the deferred money, and he guaranteed control. Control and guarantee money is not necessarily a great thing with Chris Sale anymore, but we'll see.
I think you can sit there and say, man, what you saw in May, that wasn't a number 3 starter. That was not pumping 98, going 7 innings. That was top of the rotation stuff.
From here, too, it's like he's
Seriously.
slinging that thing. Like,
It looked like vintage Chris Sale, and I don't think that's ever there for 30 starts. I hope it is. But if it's 20 to 25 or anywhere close to that, it's a steal on that money. It's not even a conversation. And unlike the Red Sox, who also put Sale in the tough spot of needing to be that ace, and that's what he was getting paid to do. That was his job. He couldn't step into those shoes. He doesn't need to be that there. There's multiple guys, Morton, Max Fried. You do not have to be that. Just come in here, start as much as you can, and be ready for October. That's all we're asking out of you. And that's a better spot for someone like him at this point in his career where, he can't be the workhorse he was all those years in Chicago.
He did also talk about how he was kind of excited to, like, hey, this is the first time in a long time that I'm going to be able to come into camp healthy, like with a regular offseason. And, well, you don't think it was going to be a regular offseason?
I think we were very close to that going into 2022, and then he was throwing a lot, right? He has the stress fracture. I would be nervous. Like, I'm just concerned, is he pushing himself too hard? But he's been through it. Maybe he knows the limits now, but yeah, let's get there, right? Like, I remember sitting in February of 2022 and being like, man, we saw what Sale did at the end of the playoffs, screaming in his glove, getting it up to 98. Make it through camp, right? Like, it's a long way to go for someone like Chris Sale until the start of the season right now.
I'm going to miss Chris Sale. I am not going to miss feeling like my season depends on him
100%.
coming through. Like, it's like Groundhog Day for like the last 4 fucking years. It's been, well, when Chris Sale comes back, and if Chris Sale can stay healthy, or, when Chris Sale comes back twice in a year, or like just velocity watching. Like, how many times watching other pitchers on the Boston Red Sox over the last few years has looking at the radar gun mattered as much as when it's Chris Sale? Like, when it's Chris Sale, it's like, oh, he's throwing 96, 97. He must be healthy. Oh, he's throwing 91. Fuck, he's about to be out for 2 months. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's like having a fucking Tamagotchi where you're trying to keep the thing healthy and alive, and it's your responsibility. And there's just so much stress and pressure of that. Even as a fan, like, I have nothing to do with Chris Sale's health and being able to keep him healthy, but just other guys on this staff like Bayo and Cutter and Pavetta, like, they can go out there, let it eat, and you're not worried about it. It's like having a clumsy kid that it's like, oh man, like, anytime that you leave the house, I am now concerned for your fucking life because I know that you are a klutz, versus having a kid that it's like, yeah, no, they're rock solid. They're going to go out there. They're going to do their thing. They can go rock climbing and jumping off of cliffs and shit. And like, we know that they're going to be good. This is what life with Chris Sale was like for 4 years, is any time that he took the mound, in the back of your mind, you're thinking like, this could be it. Like, this could be the end of his season. And it's not a comfortable thing as a fan because of how important he is. It's a compliment to him because you know how important he is. You know that at the top of his game, he's an ace, and the Red Sox have needed an ace. But it was also just depressing that going into every season, you had to build a rotation under the assumption that you weren't going to have anything from Chris Sale. And if you got anything at all from Chris Sale, it was a bonus. That's just like, it sucks because you want him to be good. You want him to make 30 starts. And I would have been the happiest Red Sox fan in the world if he had just had one more year like 2017, where you're breaking out the record books, 300 strikeouts and just dominating. But it was never going to be that way again. And you almost felt like handcuffed, where you're paying this guy big time money, and you have to plan a rotation around the fact that we may not have this guy. We could have him, but we don't know. And that's just it's an awkward place to be for a baseball executive, in which he has lived the life of 3 in Boston. So yeah. But either way, I'm going to miss him. I am going to miss him. I'm just not going to miss that part of it.
There's a lot of guys in that clubhouse going to miss him.
Yeah, of course.
For sure.
Of course.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they have a ton of...
I think we can all agree it was beyond time. Like,
yeah,
it was time.
It was time.
And they did what they could. Like Chris Sale talked about it. He was like, well, I love Boston. He's like, they hooked me up, and really there weren't many situations. He said it himself that would have made sense for me. He can still travel from home, right? I think it's an hour away instead of like 15 minutes.
Training, right.
Yeah, Will, you'll definitely know that better than I would. He's like, there's that. It's a good team, so I can use these last couple of years of my career to kind of push that limit as far as I can. Like, this is what I wanted. And like, Breslow brought it to me, and it was that simple. So like, I think for both sides, they realized how important they were to each other. Sale, World Series hero, what you did for the franchise. Red Sox, through all the turmoil, through all the injuries, you dealt with it. We tried to work through it. You never trashed me. You didn't leak things trying to make me look bad. If anything, it was always the complete opposite. Let's just part ways, right? It's time, and we can be thankful to each other for the years we spent together.
Hey, this is just a question. Do you think that Atlanta deal was in place in order for him to waive that?
It would make a lot of sense.
Trade?
It would make a lot of sense. Yeah. Because you already had the option. So
it's like, I'll waive it if you can guarantee me, in a couple more years.
But I also think that if that were the case, that someone would be on that, right? Like if you're breaking news and you've got all the deets on this, wouldn't you have that part of it? Like that would be part of the discussion. But it would make sense if that were the case. I don't know.
Yeah. Either way. Yeah.
And then figuring out there's the 2026 option on top of it all. So maybe it was like, all right, we're at least going to do 2 years. Let's have the conversation if we'll add another even beyond those 2 years.
And like I said, they're only paying like a little over half of it these next 2 years. So it's
Red
really
Sox
not
are covering his whole salary
him
this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they're actually making $1 million off him.
Right. Yeah, and I saw Lou's tweet about how Red Sox fans would have lost their fucking minds.
Oh yeah. Can you imagine
if the Red Sox, after all this, like you didn't spend dick in free agency, but you're going to give an extension to Chris Sale. You're going to extend the extension that everyone complains about as one of the worst. Like, talk about Pablo Sandoval. Fuck him. The Carl Crawford, and I loved Adrian Gonzalez here, but I guess you can call that a dud. I don't call it a dud, but people think that one was a miss. It's not. But the Chris Sale extension, you can love the guy, you can appreciate everything that he did here, but the extension is probably the worst contract in Red Sox history, just because of like dollars versus return.
But 41 innings in 4 years, 5 years, something like that.
And the impact it had on the moves, who knows what the way ownership is right now, but really we know that was the main thing when it came to the Mookie trade.
Can I ask a fucked up question right now?
Go.
If you stop flexing, please God.
That's fucking stationary. That's natural, baby. You want to see a flex? I'll show you. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah. Jake?
I'm just putting myself in a position
screenshot that.
Please.
I gotta ask this question. If the Red Sox don't extend Chris Sale and he walks in free agency, do you know where I'm going with this, Tyler?
Yeah, is Mookie Betts still in the Boston Red Sox?
Is Mookie Betts still in the Boston Red Sox?
It's a fair question.
You think so?
But I think it also comes down to did Mookie want to be there?
That's the other
He's
half.
full of shit. Mookie's full of shit.
The narrative's changed quite a bit.
Yeah,
Right.
any interview that he does now, he's like, "Oh, I loved it there. I never wanted to leave." But the whole time he was here, he was like, "I'm going to free agency. Fuck this city. I hate these people. Get me out of here." Please."
That's what it was. He always said it was for the MLBPA. It meant a lot for him to go that far. And, he did. But there was 10 years, 3. Maybe in that imaginary scenario.
The pandemic changed things.
That's the other half of it.
Yeah, it did. But either way.
You know why I got traded, right? Because they signed Pablo. And I was broken.
Well, you weren't broken yet.
I missed most of 2014.
Yeah, but did you?
Injuries.
If you missed 2014, did you really miss 2014?
Yeah, I don't even think it happened. That's a good point.
Like there was a game that actually it was the first game that I ever went to with Coley was in 2014, and we were. It must have been later in the year, and we were just kind of looking out at the defensive alignment, and we were like, we've got our shortstop at third base, we've got like our second baseman in the outfield, we've got an outfielder at first base. Like they were just throwing fucking lineups out there, being like, I don't know, dude. Like
whoever we have left, go.
Yeah, go play baseball. It was bizarre. The finish to that year. But that one didn't hurt as bad because you were coming off a World Series and guys were coming up that were pieces of the future. So like you could at least see it. And I mean, it didn't feel like we were 4 years away from a World Series.
Yeah, because that was like the beginning of like Mookie, Vasquez, obviously Bogey in his first full year, Jackie. Yep. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, Yoenis, Cespedes on that team. People have like blacked that out of their mind.
I got a Cespedes story that I love sharing with people. So the first time he ever, like the first game we ever had him at home at Fenway, I don't know if it was the first day or not, but we were down in the batting cage and he comes in and we're like getting loose right before the game. And he pulls out like a box of Marlboro Reds.
Yeah.
Like cowboy killers. And we're like, damn. All right. Like, no big deal. He's about to just rip a cig. And he looks at me in broken English and goes, Poppy, you like dragons? And I was like, is he going to hit me with like dragging these nuts on his face? I was like, there's no way they know that in Cuba, right?
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, sure. I like dragons. He lights up another Marlboro Red, puts them both in his nose, and blows it out his mouth and goes, I'm a dragon today. Swear to God, first time I ever met him.
This is 2014?
Yeah, whenever he's with us, yeah.
Is he a guy that like beat to his own drum? Like did he have
Yeah, he did, but he was also like cool in the clubhouse. Like he was fun. Like he would hang out like in the clubhouse. We weren't hanging out with him off the field.
Yeah.
But another quick step, man, I got a couple of Cespedes stories too. So we went to Tampa and we pulled up to the Vinoy where they used to stay. Yeah. And there's a sick matte black Aventador Lamborghini sitting out front, you know, the badass of badass Lamborghinis. Big Poppy had a Lambo built for him, had like 34 in the, you've probably seen his matte black Lambo he had there for a while. And he goes, hey, whose is that? And I was like, oh, that's Big Poppy's. He goes, I want one. And I was like, all right, like, cool. We pulled back into Fenway 3 days later, and there's a brand new matte black Aventador sitting right in the player's lot.
Did
he called, ordered a $500,000 car to be delivered to Fenway, and in 3 days we got home and it was sitting there in the parking lot.
What was his deal with the A's? Yoenis, Cespedes signs?
I don't know, but he spent money like it was limitless.
How crazy is it that the A's were the team that ended up with Cespedes, by the way?
Yeah.
Made $143 million in his career, by the way.
Well, a lot of that was Mets money.
Yeah, that's a lot of it.
4 years, $36 million was his deal with the A's.
Well, he dropped a quick $500K on a Lambo.
So you got to figure that what's like
expedited.
What's the rate that agents take in baseball? 5%?
4 or 5%, yeah.
Okay, so 5% of 36 million going to the agent. Half of that's going to Uncle Sam. So he's probably rocking with, I don't know, like 1/12 of his net worth just went to a car.
Matters.
Somewhere around there.
He did not care. He also was like one of those guys who just like, I'm going to play forever and make all this money, right?
Yeah, and he wasn't wrong.
We all thought he would.
Yeah.
Isn't he playing in that like old man's league that Pablo Sandoval's playing in right now?
In Dubai?
Yeah.
Is
I
he?
didn't
don't
see
know.
him in Dubai.
I didn't
Is
either.
he? Am I wrong? Is it maybe he's playing like Dominican Winter League or something?
You're gonna see me pitching in that shit. You're like,
You
why
should,
isn't Will
dude.
messing? Well, he's got an outing in Dubai.
Oh yeah, Will, have you seen Iron Claw yet, the movie?
No.
It makes you look like a pussy, dude. This dude got into a fucking motorcycle accident, lost his foot, used a prosthetic leg, and continued wrestling in the WWF. Cut your fucking leg off, get a fake one, and get back out there. You're still
Great
young.
point. I
How
still got
old?
time. I'm only 35. I gotta get 5
Plenty.
years left.
That's what I'm saying. Like, go in Dubai, go make yourself some fucking Dubai money, cut your leg off, and put a fake one on and get out there, dude. Go take some grounders.
All right.
Come up to Boston.
I'm not opposed.
I'll do some fungos.
Listen, everything's got a price tag, Derek.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
I got baby needs new shoes. I got 2 girls. I got 2 weddings to save for.
There you go. Oh,
Good
yeah.
point. I gotta let Nessa know.
Yes. That's what you got to do. You be like, hey, listen, part of the draw of Will Middlebrooks in Dubai is A, World Series champion. B,
2,
I have
he's got
one
a fake
leg. Yeah. I have one leg, but I can still do it. And
Back of my jersey says tink tink.
Cespedes basically has one leg.
yeah, but like also I'm pretty sure they like you should cut both your legs off. There's those prosthetic legs that they like banned from like the
Yeah, they look like bent back paper clips.
yeah, the runners, because they actually make them stronger and faster.
Yeah, because they had like spring in them.
Yes.
This goes right back to the Cat Williams joke that I was just referencing.
Which
The
is
poor little tink tink.
oh
You
yeah,
ever heard
yeah.
Your legs tired? His legs ain't tired.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. By the way, Cat Williams hot on the block right now.
Yeah,
Oh,
Shannon,
you
he was
see
on
that?
Shannon Sharp show. Yeah,
Cooked.
Yeah.
yeah, he was throwing some shade at Chris Tucker and
Cedric.
Kevin Hart.
came
Climbing
at
on Kevin
Cedric the
Hart.
Entertainer stealing his jokes.
Yep. He said something about Kanye as well.
Did he? Jeez.
Yeah. Well,
He gone.
yeah. Cat Williams, he'll just tell it like it is. So
Yeah.
I'm happy for
Where
him.
were we?
Cespedes is playing in Cuba this year, by the way, guys.
He's playing in
still
Cuba.
going.
How old is he? Is he still going to be what, like 36?
He's like my age, our age.
Is
Right?
he?
34, 35?
38.
What?
38.
In American years?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, there's no way to tell, I guess. Do you remember when Yoenis Cespedes was showcasing himself to potential suitors and he had that workout video that went viral?
Yes.
So do you know about this, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm reading through the article right now, and it's like talking in here
But
about
did you know about this prior to this conversation?
Yeah, I had remembered it. Yeah, I
Okay.
was around back in those days.
It's kind of like, remember like the Harlem Shake? Like you had to be there. Like there were trends that were huge at the time that may not have stood the test of time. And in baseball lore, the Yoenis Cespedes workout video, it does stand the test of time, but I don't know that it gets referenced enough in today's baseball culture. There's a part of that video where he is leg pressing probably like 30 plates plus like 5
No less than
dudes.
like 3,000 pounds.
Yeah,
It was a lot.
it was a lot. Yeah. And I would look at that. I mean, that's how we fucking ended up with what's his face? Rusney Castillo. These dudes come out of Cuba and they look massive. They're just jacked dudes.
They're
And
all jacked.
they're
Every
all
single one
jacked.
of them.
There's not a single Cuban player that you can look at and be like, all right, is this like if you played a game called MLB player or WWF wrestler, you'd have a hard time with some of these Cuban players. Like Adolis Garcia, Hulk Hogan type physique. Huge.
Luis Robert, like
Luis Robert, Yoan Moncada, when he first came over with the Red
they all have
Sox.
mohawks and biceps, bro, and traps.
Like Moncada, there was a video of him like doing hammer curls when he first came over and signed with the Red Sox, and his arms were huge. There's like huge. Like these dudes from Cuba, they don't mess around. Like they
Hey, we got 2 jacked white guys now.
who? Oh,
I'm thinking about
Tyler O'Neill
Duran and O'Neill.
and Duran. Yeah, I mean I'm bigger than Duran, but he.
Okay.
Ugh.
I am. Do you want me to do the
Jared.
pose again?
Spring training
Jared.
Duran is a lot different than September Duran.
So Duran does his own workouts. He maintained his jackness during the year. I made sure of it because we would size up every time I saw him. And we would just size each other up.
Good to see you, Jaron. Take your shirt off.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it would go down. Yeah. Like I forget what the bet was. We had some bet in spring training where I think he was like at like 215 or something. It was like whoever was like closer to 200 or something like that. I was like, oh.
So is it weight, or are we looking at like BMI, like body fat to like lean mass?
There's no
you guys
body
like
fat
deep?
for either of us. We're both savages. Like we're not just gonna get fat and put on weight. Like it's all fucking. I mean, a lot of it is probably water weight from creatine, but like we're just absolute beasts. So yeah, we were pretty much close because over the course of a season, as you know, Will, your weight's gonna come down, but my weight's gonna go up because all I'm doing is just eating steak tips and crushing weights all season.
Depression meals.
Yeah.
You've been deadlifting and squatting is what I hear too.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that. You know, that's the word on the street.
I've been reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like that's the word on the street. There's a video that's going around and it's not public, but if it ever gets out, whew, the haters are going to be nauseous when they see it. They're going to see this and be like, wait, I just spent the last 10 years making fun of Jared's legs. That's the only physical feature left that I had to make fun of this man.
So a lot more shorts this year, less jeans, huh?
I don't know.
Possibly.
You're not a short guy, Jared.
If would you believe me? Actually, you probably would. Would you believe me, Will, if I told you that I don't even own a pair of shorts?
I would believe you. Yeah, I would actually.
Yeah, like I
see you more like if you do have shorts, you created them. Like you cut your pants into shorts.
Yeah, that's what
Shorts.
Dallas told me to do. Dallas told me that the goal is for the All-Star game, because usually for every All-Star game we go to the red carpet, we go to like a Salvation Army and we get suit jackets and we cut the sleeves off the suit jackets for the red carpet. He was like, this year let's get jeans and cut the thigh like high up there, and this can be your coming out party for the quads. I was like, I don't know. I maybe I'll be ready for that. Maybe I won't be. I don't know. We'll see.
You have to go like high top Chucks.
Chucks.
Yeah. Like, yeah. That's going to have to be the style there.
Chucks are so uncomfortable.
Yeah, but so are cut off shorts.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be strangling the shit out of my quads in those things. Like these.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
Yeah. These quads mean business. I'm telling you right now. So
I'm excited to see them.
You can help me cut the jeans when you guys move in. Presumably sometime in April, you guys can pick out the outfit for me.
I would move in with Tyler, but I know that's a fire risk.
We have a lot of room in this bedroom. It's very roomy.
But you just talked about your house burning down multiple times, and I'm not real comfortable.
You know what's funny about Tyler's setup is that there's not he like instead of using like a temp wall for like decoration, he uses a green screen, but he doesn't project anything on it, and it's not directly behind him either. So like it's off center. It's an off center green screen that isn't used as a green screen. And there's not enough electricity in his house.
That's not true.
You just have a flashlight on the shelf in front of you right now.
Yeah, I had my phone flashlight on my lap the first half of the show.
His mom is just standing off camera like this.
It makes me like him even more because he's just grinding.
Oh
he's grinding.
He's a grinder.
He's getting the job done.
Yeah, he's a grinder. He's
I wish you guys could see see that little wire right there. Can you guys see
not really.
that?
Hardly. It looks like I'm looking into heaven right now.
Yeah.
It broke out of the actual lamp, so now the light bulb, instead of being under the shade, just hangs down. I burnt my hand really bad about 15 minutes ago. I don't know if you guys can see it.
I can see that, yeah.
It hurts really bad.
No reaction though.
No, I ate it. I took it.
That's awesome.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Proud of you. Was there anything else on the docket, T-Dog? From
we got to talk Vaughn Grissom.
I was going to say, we hadn't talked anything Vaughn Grissom.
Yeah, we got to talk about him. I'm excited to. So I didn't. I saw that clip. Was it you that tweeted that, Tyler? The video that he kind of like narrated his first big league homer.
No, I had posted more him talking about being open to playing everywhere. But yeah, I saw that video too.
The one of him in the car, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was good.
With one of the Braves radio guys. And he was kind of just open up being like, dude, and I know this is the case for a lot of guys who play shortstop their whole life. He's like, dude, I don't care. And it obviously plays in the part. He's not a big league shortstop. We all know
in winter ball, he was playing some left field too, right?
Third base and left field. Which
I wonder how much Cora saw him out there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd be curious to hear because apparently the manager down there was like, yeah, I don't really see him as a second baseman. He's like, he doesn't look like that kind of guy to me. But when he came up in 2022, it was to play second base, right? That was when he came up. He hit that homer in his debut, and everyone was talking about him. It was him and Michael Harris.
They still had Dansby, right? Yeah, they still had Dansby.
Exactly. And at the time, it was like, oh, him and Michael Harris the same year came up from Double-A. And I think that's where people get a little confused, and they're like, oh, Vaughn Grissom's another Franchi Cordero. He was just sitting and putting up numbers in AAA. It's like, guys, let's be real. He was 21 years old. He played 20 games at Double-A and got called up. Yeah. And when he did get called up, he hit down the stretch. Well, he was a legit ball player for them. So that's why I kind of sat there and I was like, people want to get a little crazy here or try to crap on the guy. But yeah, he hit 291, 353, 440, 792. 5 homers, 6 doubles, 5 stolen bases in 41 games.
He's just not a finished product. This is his 23 season this year, coming into it.
And the reason he wasn't on the Braves this past season, besides, a good portion of April and May, he lost a job trying to take over shortstop in spring training. Orlando Arcia got it because he played a better defensive shortstop. Grissom tore up offensively in spring training once again. They come into the season. Arcia gets hurt. He plays for a month. It wasn't great. He struggled defensively and he didn't really hit. But instead of pouting, instead of saying, oh, woe is me, he had never played a game at AAA. Keep this in mind. He goes down to AAA and he hits friggin' 330, 419, 501, 921. Tore it up. 45 game on base streak. 102 games. He broke the doubles record for Gwinnett. So say what you want about the guy, however you want to frame him. He was a 22-year-old this past season playing in AAA for the first time, and he hit 330.
Yeah. I don't think anyone expects him to come in and be a Gold Glover, right?
No.
That's not. But which is tough because, offense is great, but when you look at the Red Sox last year, what was the worst part of their team? Defensive ability.
And Breslow kind of sold to us, right? You go back to the GM meetings, it was, hey, we need to improve defensively more than anything at second. Offense will likely come after that. But I think he looked at this kind of situation, and this is why the Red Sox ate $17 million in this deal. If you think he can be part of this core moving forward for 6 years, and you're kind of taking advantage of a Braves team that didn't seem to want to pay free agent prices, they obviously like Chris Sale if they were willing to give him an extension, and you can kind of take advantage of them and grab a young player that's blocked.
Right.
Why wouldn't you? This is the kind of creativity Chaim Bloom didn't have.
Let's say he hits 280 with 10 to 15 homers, and he's an average second baseman. Are you okay with that?
That's more than beautiful.
I agree. Like a 2.5 WAR guy. I'm okay with that, especially pairing him with Trevor Story up the middle.
Right. So, and you've also gotten negative WAR from the second base position.
Exactly.
So, it's anything positive is a positive there. The bar is so fucking low at second base. Ever since Dustin Pedroia, it's been a revolving door.
2017 was still the last season a second baseman played 100 games, and it was Pedroia staying in after Machado blew his knee out.
Yeah. It's you're just basically looking for consistency.
I'm dropping a name on you. I talked to Chipper Jones about Vaughn Grissom because he was a mentor type to him over there, as he is to a lot of young players. I'm looking at the text right now. He says really good bat to ball skills, which we know. Obviously, the batting average, lower swing and miss rate, all that. He's got a little Jeter in him at the plate. Not a ton of pop, but he can just hit. He can just hit. No position, really. Not a great defender. Slow feet. Hear me out. There's more to come. It gets better.
Okay.
But he's basing that off of his arm strength. He's saying on the left side of the infield, he doesn't think his arm is strong enough to be a left side of the infielder. He says, I think he can be just fine at second base. He said the kid works his ass off. He's got 10 to 15 homer pop with 450 to 500 at bats, but he just works so hard that what did he say? He's going to end up being a lot better than people project him to be because of his work ethic. So don't expect him to come in and be this savior defensive player, basically. He's going to hit. He's going to play an average second base. which we just said we'd be happy with.
Yeah, I'll take average at second base because I think Story is so good at shortstop, like up the middle. Like you've got some strength up the middle defensively, but I think just having some like we were what? When did he get called up? 22.
22
Yeah,
came up
end.
for 40.
Right. So he got called up in 2022 as the Atlanta Braves' #1 prospect. Like he was the guy. That was essentially last year. So it's not like they've given up on him. He's not damaged goods. It's, hey, we have like the position is filled. Like we're good up here. So let's move this guy to get to fill another area of need. It's not like giving up on the player. And I think all you need to do as a baseball fan or a sports fan in general is when your team is involved in a trade, find yourself in the beehive of that other fan base and see what the reaction is. There were a lot of Braves fans that were being like, why the fuck did we just do that? So that's kind of what makes me calm about it. Like if you're a Braves fan looking at Red Sox Twitter, Red Sox fans were like saying like, fine, like, thank God, like we're finally free. Thank you for everything, but it was time. Like that was or good luck getting 20 plus starts out of him. That was the general consensus from over here. But then you look at Braves Twitter and they were like, why the fuck did we just do that? So that kind of gets you a little bit excited. It's more wait and see. To Will's point, I was never really expecting like mind-blowing defense from Grissom at second base. But I think the relief part is just knowing that you're going to have consistency at the position. Like, thank fucking God. Like, how many times? Yeah, hopefully.
I hope they just let him ride.
Yeah, why not? Like, if he
struggles,
let
him develop a little bit this year.
Yeah, let him learn at the big league level.
It kind of felt like to me, looking back at Jeter Downs, and I feel like his profile gets misremembered, right? So when the Red Sox dealt for him, everyone said Jeter Downs was the safest prospect in the world. That was the whole selling point on him. They were like, yeah, defensively, he'll catch up. Ends up turning into a fantastic defender in the minor leagues, but the bat was supposed to always be fine. He'll hit 270, 280, getting out of bed. You don't even have to think twice. Jeter Downs never really grew into that profile, as we knew. You kind of look at Vaughn Grissom. If there's anything you know about the guy, he's going to be able to hit. Now, it's not going to be a ton of pop like Will kind of talked about. I think you're hoping for 10 or 15 home runs. A lot of people look at the AAA numbers this year, and Red Sox stats had great stuff on this. Gwinnett's one of the worst ballparks to hit in, at the AAA level. So the reason the homers were down a little bit, that's why. Still took care of business while at Gwinnett, don't get me wrong, but absolutely tore. When he was on the road, he was tearing it up constantly. I think you look at Grissom, he fills hopefully the shoes that you looked at Jeter Downs and would have thought he would have done by now. But you look at Grissom right now, and you look at someone who's in AA in Nick York, who has a very similar profile. Hit first guy, never expected to really have a ton of pop. Not great at second base, has improved. Nick York had the anchors in his shoulder. We all knew that was a big topic of discussion at the time. And he's improved somewhat. But York had some swing and misses past year at AA. I don't think while he bounced back, it wasn't the jump many were hoping for. Well, now that guy who's been in trade proposals already for a year plus, it makes even more sense. I think they look at Grissom and say, I think he's probably the best ideal outcome for someone like Nick York. Why don't we jump on this now and then you flip York, hopefully, as one of the pieces in a deal for Luzardo or something.
Yeah. It's kind of a sharp pivot, but not really, since you just mentioned him. For a question for both of you, is Luzardo someone that, like, when we look back in Red Sox history for different trades for frontline starting pitchers, like, everyone looks at the Hanley Ramirez, Anibal Sanchez for Josh Beckett, Mike Lowell trade as like the gold standard. Like, you're going to give up a blue chip prospect, like your top prospect's usually like a middle infielder, center fielder type, and then you're going to give up an arm. Is Luzardo someone that fits that bill for you? Like, are you giving up Meyer and an arm? Because I think Maz made the point where in every trade to get like a big arm like that, like, you're giving up an arm to get an arm, in addition to your top position player. We don't really have a fucking arm to give up. Like, there's no blue chip pitching prospect right now.
Right.
But
It's probably going to end up being, one of the prospect infielders, and then there's kind of I don't know if logjam is the word, but like of back end starters / long guys in the bullpen that are big league ready yet still young guys that could be thrown into this trades as well.
Well, all I'm saying is like the Red Sox have, let's just say they have 3 names, right? They have 3 top prospects that if they were thrown in any deal, you can get your guy. Like the Red Sox have the pieces to get their guy.
Right.
Is
Do you
Luzardo
go all in is what you're saying?
No, like is Luzardo the guy that you use your Mario star on? Is that the one that you do it for?
I think personally, it's a hard conversation right now. I'd say for someone like Jesus Luzardo, I'm probably willing to bend the knee, and I think the guy you're looking at is probably Marcelo Meyer here. Where now with Trevor Story still locked up for 4 years, hey, you really believe in Vaughn Grissom? You think that guy's going to play second base for the next six years for you, and you don't have to think about it? It changes the conversation, and that's not me saying, hey, go throw Marcelo Meyer out there, but I have a hard time believing they're going to move Teal at this point. Just based on catcher and where it is in the sport, that's something really special you can kind of cling to.
Lines up like timing wise too to just kind of come take over in like a year or two. So
and I think if a lot of people were betting, they'd say he'd probably get out of him and Roman Anthony and Meyer, he'd be the first one to get to the majors this year.
For sure.
And I think they all have a chance, right? If it all clicked. But I think Luzardo is in the same camp. I'd consider Logan Gilbert. George Kirby's obviously, I think, even a tier above. Gilbert, probably closer to Luzardo. But the thing that scares me and that makes me hesitate on this is, like you said before, Josh Beckett. You knew Josh Beckett was an ace. Proven, done in the playoffs. Luzardo, this was his first season making more than 18 starts, right? And he had a little bit of a rocky journey. We knew going from the A's to the Marlins where they kind of fixed him with their pitching lab and got him on track. If you were to ask me, do I think Jesus Luzardo is an ace for the next 5 years? I don't know. He could be just a number 2, which is still very valuable. And you need cost control pitching. But in my heart, I was hoping if you were making that move, you were getting someone that you don't even have to think about, like the Chris Sale trade, where, hey, boom, you slot him in. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. It's that simple. Yeah. It just doesn't seem like that deal's out there for you right now.
We were
Tyler, I think you made a good point too on, with Vaughn Grissom coming in, it makes Marcelo way less untouchable.
You can think about it now. You can dream on it.
For sure. I love the kid. I love his approach at the plate. I thought even as an 18-year-old, he had a big league approach at the plate. You could just watch him and you're like, he's different than everyone else on the field.
Took Evaldi deep, right? Right at the Florida Complex League.
But even just watching his like regular season at bats, like he stands out, right? Like his swings, his swing decisions, his just overall at bats were just different. So I know the jury's still out on Vaughn Grissom, but I feel like this is a real discussion now, putting him in there for Luzardo. I'm with you.
If you're serious about going to get that cost-controlled arm, it's just you're going to have to give up one of the 3.
It's 3 years of this guy. You're going to get 3 years of Luzardo.
And if you're serious about him,
pumping 98, and he has a very clean delivery that doesn't scream Chris Sale like I'm going to break off like Mr. Potato Head, right? Like it doesn't. It's clean. It's crisp. It's repeatable. I think he can be that guy. I'm with you too on I don't know if he can be an ace because he just hasn't shown us. Like there's not enough on the back of his baseball card to tell me he can be that dude. I do think he can be a solid number 2. And if you have multiple number 2s on I think you're okay until you get to the postseason, and then you do need a dude. But I'm on the Luzardo train. Like I want him.
I
really do.
I think that Grissom at some point could be expendable. And I'm going to give you a name as to why. Alex Bregman.
Mm-hmm. Former Red Sox draftee, but didn't sign.
Yeah. I think that there is a path where via free agency, Alex Bregman becomes your second baseman. Grissom becomes expendable.
How old is Bregman?
He is 28.
Okay.
Now, Jared, let me ask you. Mm-hmm. We talked Cora last episode.
He's 29. He'll be 30 right around opening day.
Okay. Would Cora being here long term impact that? If he's
Yes.
gone, do you think? Okay, so that's a very big deal in that conversation.
That's a big piece to that. Yeah. Yeah.
I think with Grissom, if you told me he's playing like a Jerkson Profar kind of role in a year, that wouldn't shock me either. Say he goes to second and he's solid. You don't trade Marcelo Meyer in this world. And it's like, all right, well, Marcelo's ready to be the shortstop in 2025. We're going to flip Story to second. All right. Hey, Grissom, you're going to play second some days. You're going to play third and a little bit of left field. You'll get 400, 450 at bats, and you'll kind of be that versatile guy we want. Especially if, as we see, he works at bats. He doesn't strike out a ton. He kind of offers you something a little different. I could see that role too, and that's where maybe you hold on to Marcelo Meyer in those conversations. But yeah, but Bregman's probably going to want to get paid. The Red Sox going to want to pay someone who's in their 30s.
That's the question: is will the Red Sox pay him?
It's a middle infielder too. Is like it's one thing paying like a first baseman or a left fielder, a DH type as they age, right? But middle infielders got to be able to move.
Yeah,
he's also played third base for a long time, so it's like. I don't know. That's going to be interesting, though.
Just a name to keep an eye on, I feel like.
Jared, would you move Meyer or one of the three for Luzardo?
I'd probably have a more difficult time with it. I think kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying, the guy, like in a perfect situation, yes, I would, but I don't think the perfect situation is out there. Like they're the guy that you go for, the guy where it's like I don't know, Corbin Burns a couple of years ago,
right? And
he's still got 2-3 years left, and he's just slicing and dicing out there. It's like, yeah, like that's a no-brainer, and he's pitched in the playoffs. Like that guy right now, the established ace who's gone out there and done it 200, not even 200 innings, just like 30 starts. I don't care if 30 starts equals 180 innings. I don't give a fuck. Like take the ball, be a guy that takes the ball every fifth day, 30 starts consistently, plus maybe like not super. It's not do or die if he has postseason experience, but if he does, that's also an added benefit for me where I'm more comfortable giving up this God package to acquire said pitcher. I think Luzardo is more of a like if you finally have taken the time to build up your farm system to where it's not just like you've got top 100 guys, your top 3 in Major League Baseball as an entire system. You want to make sure that you're making the right deals. Like you don't want to make any panic moves where you're just like, all right, yeah, this is the guy that's available right now. I guess we just make that deal. Like I'm fine with waiting because it's not like they're an ace away. They're not one pitcher away.
That's where, I start to sit here and I think too, it's like, well, if you're just not going to go over the luxury tax and you don't see this as a full throttle year, man, then yeah, maybe it is just wait till next offseason. If you want to act like that, not that I have any faith in you paying any of these guys, but if that's what it comes down to and you're really not pushing it, screw it. The wild card I would throw in all this, Marcelo Meyer's shoulder, I don't know what the situation is with that, but there was supposed to be an update after Thanksgiving. He was supposed to get checked out again, and we were supposed to hear something. I'm not saying something's wrong with him. Don't take it that way. But our team's going to look at him medically, and it doesn't seem like he had a procedure or anything, and say, is something off there? Is something right? Are you selling low on him right now? Is that kind of the situation? Because there hasn't been video of him working out. There hasn't been videos of him taking swings. Like, I got video of Miguel Blaze taking swings. You know what I mean? And coming off shoulder surgery, I'm like, all right, I can see this guy looks right. I'm not saying something's wrong with Meyer, but we never even got the update that, like, hey, he's full go for the offseason at this point. Like, is he kind of just taking it slow this offseason and hoping to ramp it up come spring training? I don't know. And that would make me nervous as a Red Sox fan because who knows what that means for his stock. But if you're trying to move the guy, that can't make it easy at all.
Yeah, I'm fine with waiting. And I'm fine with waiting. For now. Because it's not like you're going to... It's not like you need to sell high on any of these pieces. Like some of them, you can let them marinate for a little bit. So we'll see what opens up.
And I guess where you dream, right? Like, say you went and got Luzardo this year. Bayo takes the necessary step. I think Cutter, who gets slept on more than anybody.
I think Cutter's going the other way now. Like now,
now people are like,
Red Sox Twitter talks about Cutter Crawford like he's Sandy Koufax. I don't know what happened I mean, it's like
They saw the Savant page.
when guys make it into the Hall of Fame on their fucking 9th year, and it's like his numbers haven't changed at all.
Right.
And now 15 years after he retired, now he's a Hall of Famer. With Cutter Crawford, like he hasn't made a start in fucking 2-3 months.
Who
now
was it
all
that
of
did the split screen with him in like a Seattle hat and was like
Jordan Leandre. I saw.
Yeah. Even when I saw that, I was like, it's a good point.
Yeah.
But it's true.
It is
It's so true. It's so true because you get used to seeing a guy every day, right? Yeah, it's so true. It's such a good point.
If Cutter Crawford was a Seattle Mariner, he would be a trade target for the Boston Red Sox right now. People would be like, "Oh, this is the guy that we need." But now that because he's on the Red Sox, the reaction is, "Well, we can't have this guy. This guy's a reliever. Like, why would we have him in the rotation? We need to go out and trade for Jesus Luzardo."
Yeah, we'd mention him like Bryce Miller or Brian Wu. Like those are where he'd kind of rank in. And I think with Cutter, right, the big thing is, can he go more than 5 innings? We got to see a lot of young pitchers struggle with that. And what I'd also add into this entire conversation, the guy got built up in the rotation last year. Got jerked around, ended up in the bullpen to start the year. Well, it was actually in the minors, I think, to start the year. Ended up coming back up. But got jerked around early June, moves into the rotation, has to build up in there 3, 4, 5. Had never thrown those kind of innings before. So, like, I don't know. I look at Cutter, I'm like, that guy looks like he could be a solid number 4 starter for a long time. Do I think he has top of the rotation stuff? No, I don't. But you look under the hood, man, the fastball, it plays.
I love the fastball.
Yeah, it's a lot harder on guys than, how it pops up 93, 94. Baseball Prospectus put out an article, and the characteristics are extremely similar to Garrett Cole's fastball. So that's one of those guys when you struggle to develop pitching, I don't think you just throw to the wayside like that. I think it's important to cling to him. But if your rotation is, Luzardo, Bayo, Crawford, those are kind of your 3 main pegs right now. And let's see what they end up going, whether, there's another arm, a Paxton, a Pivetta. There's a solid floor there. But I think
Giolito?
Yeah, but we don't know if Giolito's going to be here a year from now either.
He's not.
He exactly. If it all goes right and he opts out, then really it's Bayo, Crawford, and whatever young starter they go after and try to get right now.
I mean, Pavetta's another guy too. Like I really like, and people kind of sleep on, right? Because he's so hot and cold. There's like no real like middle ground with Pivetta. He either stinks or he shoves. Like I feel like.
But I think when he added the slider,
I feel like he's been completely different.
The sweeper changed life. When he added the sweeper, like you look at the numbers, I think it's like May 28th is the split or something. He's top 10 in ERA in baseball, top 12 in FIP, entire sport. That's how good he was. And a lot of people, you look back at the stats and you don't see it. While he was in the bullpen, a lot of the summer, he was basically coming in right after that opener and throwing 6 innings. He was giving you a true 6, just a different way. I think with Pivetta, though, it's the same issue you run into. He's a free agent after this year. So maybe you work out an extension if you think you finally unlock something. More likely than not, he's probably not here in a year either.
Fuck yeah.
Yep. Hey, boys.
Hey, Will.
This is your first pod of 2024, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
I'm pouring one for you.
Fuck yeah.
I have a blue moon right here, riding shotgun.
We need it.
A little tequila.
Yeah, why not?
Cheers, boys, to 2024.
2024, Will. Hey,
I
thanks
don't
kick some
have
ass.
Come on.
Well,
Here.
that's because
Milliken?
My
You
lamp.
got something?
Yep.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
I'll just burn myself again.
Cheers is fucking broken lamp.
Oh, wait. Cheers.
No, too late. Too late.
4-day-old
tasty.
water.
I had so many blue moons on New Year's Eve. I don't even think we have any ad reads on this episode, but shout out Blue Moon. Yeah, the blue moons. You should have seen my fridge. My fridge was just jam packed with blue moons. It was a hell of a night. It was a hell of a night. What did you do for New Year's Eve, Will?
Bro, I have kids. All right. So we had a big fireworks show in our neighborhood at like 9.
You don't drink around your kids? I drink around my kids all the time.
No, I do. No, I do. But it's also like I'm not out like raging with a 4 and a 5-year-old. So it's a little different nowadays. But I think Jenny posted something on her story of me passed out at like 11:33. She really threw me under the bus.
Midnight.
It was midnight in my head.
It's hard, man.
Guess what? I woke up and it was still 2024.
There you go. That's
I tried. I made it to like I know I saw 11:30, and she posted that 11:33 timestamp, so I must have just passed out.
She was waiting. She was ready.
Yeah, she was just ready. It was right under the bus.
The ball
right
drop is the dumbest fucking thing. Anyway.
No, it was good.
Yeah, like it's stupid. What did you do, T-Dog? You were with Martha?
I was with Martha. Yep, we went out to dinner. I took her out.
Kiss?
Of course. Well, we piped, but
Where'd you go? Where'd you go eat?
Tavern in the Square. It's a new spot that opened in Dedham.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get piped. I laid pipe. I just want to make that very clear. But I also fell asleep at 11:15 after putting in work. And I got woken up at midnight to go spend time with her family.
You fell asleep before midnight too?
Yeah, I was done. I didn't make it.
Yeah, you're toast after laying down the pipe.
Come on, bro. It's a big workout.
Yeah, I can see that.
Excuse me?
I'm just saying, you're juicy.
Husky.
No, you're juicy.
Built for comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. That's what she says.
Yeah. What else was there on the docket?
That's it. We have nothing else.
Nothing else?
We've hit every story.
Nothing else happened in the world of the Red Sox.
The only other thing, Shota Imanaga, like we said, Red Sox were described as in the mix with the Giants. The Yankees are out. The Orioles are out. And there was one other team. Give me a second.
Is there much of a history there with him and Masa? I don't know.
I don't think so.
They were obviously on WBC.
Yeah, they were on the Team Japan together.
So maybe that is kind of what they use to have those conversations. Yeah, the Mets, Yankees, and Orioles are not expected to be involved. Red Sox, Giants, and other teams. But it's going to be $100 million.
It's overpay plus posting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's north of $100 million. And didn't he lead all of Japan in home runs allowed?
Yeah, so that's where he gets smacked.
Yeah, I watched his video. Like he throws a big ball. Like you got to think like lefties too. Like you're gonna face a shit ton of righties in Fenway.
Yeah. So
he likes to pitch in, and if he doesn't get it in, it's not 99. Like he's gonna get hit.
He's a pitchability guy. I saw some comparisons, Hiroki Kuroda, like some of those names that came over here and maybe weren't the flashiest, but strung together like a really, solid set of seasons. That's probably what you're dreaming on with someone like him. But it's not going to blow you away. Like it's more pitchability. And
his stuff almost reminded me of like Marco Gonzalez a little bit.
Yeah,
like
that's probably a good comp.
He loves the pitch in. He'll throw the back foot breaking ball, but he like loves the fastball in the righties, like glove side. But if you miss, you're going to get hit. This is the big leagues.
And that's the big kind of concern, I think, with some teams why they're out on him and they don't like the profile as much. And he's also, I think he's 5'10". So smaller guy. He's not giving you a ton of athleticism.
Watch your fucking mouth, dude.
I'm 5'10" as well.
Yeah, 5'10" is average.
Not on a baseball field.
You're right.
Or on a pitching mound is probably the better way to
definitely on a mound, it's not average, yeah.
But at this point, like if we all saw his name pop up, I think we'd all be like, oh, all right, like it's a mid-rotation arm. At least they're spending some money. It's just, I don't know. Do you really
don't want to spend 100? I mean, not my money, but I don't want to spend that much money on a 3 or 4. I know you're going to have to overpay to get him, and I just don't see this group being like, we're going to overpay for this guy.
If you were going to overpay for a mid-rotation guy, I'd overpay for Jordan Montgomery, someone I know who's done it here, who's done it in the playoffs
for sure.
Like, 100%. All right, let's take that risk. But they don't seem to be in on it, even though he's living in the friggin' same city. So
he's looking at like 6/150.
Yeah, it feels like it's starting to get up there. And the Rangers apparently are starting to figure out their TV deal. So now he has that connection, won a World Series. If they end up going in after him, it's going to be pretty hard to compete. But I just
hope Snell doesn't go to the Yankees. Like that's what I
don't want Montgomery to go to the Yankees.
Boys with Judge. He's boys with Judge, so that hurts a little bit.
And there's talk that
how much does that shit really matter, though?
That matters.
It does.
It matters.
Like it's not like his only friend in the world. Like he's not coming from another country where he has 2 friends in the league and one of them's on the Yankees. Like
but one of your good friends is the fucking captain of the New York Yankees.
I mean, but I have 2 Cy Young awards and I'm coming off a 101. So it's like I'm going where the money is. I don't give a fuck if I'm friends with Aaron Judge. Pay me. Like I don't know.
He's not your typical like coming off a Cy Young guy. He's like he rides that fence of like he could go 6 no-hit innings with 110 pitches, or he can go 2 1/3 and give up 7 with 6 walks. Like he rides that fence because his shit is that nasty. You remember like when like Clay Buchholz, like 2011, 12, 13,
Yeah.
like he could really manipulate the baseball better than anybody. Like he could move the shit out of it. He was too nasty for his own good. Sometimes he would walk guys because he couldn't control how much the ball moved. And it's kind of like that with Snell. Like he's that nasty. He tries to throw the ball down the middle. And he can get away with it down the middle because of his angle and his movement and his velocity. But sometimes like he can't control it. And if I'm a batter, I'm going up there with like the 4 before 3 mentality. Like he's going to walk me before he throws 3 strikes.
Yeah.
He wants me to swing and miss at like his shit in the dirt or his fastball at my tits. Like a good approach, a team with a good approach is going to go up there and have success against Snell, unless he for some reason is throwing a ton of strikes that day. He lives and dies off swing and miss. No.
And
so
he's
all
not,
that said, would you want him here?
Yeah. Yeah.
For what price tag? What price tag sits well with you?
I don't know.
not a workhorse. 30 starts this past year, and 2018 I think was the last time before that.
No, but dude, he goes 3-2 like every at bat. Like
he's
he's
gonna
got
empty it
100
out.
pitches. Yeah,
And that's the thing for him. Like I know some people
in Tampa too. Like that's not new. Like that's been his whole career.
They call it like a strategic walk, right? Like that kind of idea where he knows he's like, at the end of the day, I'm going to end up walking a guy because I think I'm going to strike out the next guy. I think with him and what he's realizing here, the market's kind of shifting on him. Apparently he's open to a shorter high AAV deal, probably something that looks like the Trevor Bauer contract a couple of years ago. So like if he's going to go, I'll take 38 or something like that and do it over 3 years. Also not what the Red Sox are willing to spend, but that's an easier pill to swallow because where it comes, my concerns with him, it's just being that front of the rotation guy making 30 starts a year. If I'm going to pay Ace money, I need to know you're out there every day. That's what the Red Sox need badly right now. I don't think you can depend on that out of him.
No.
Yeah. I'm curious to see too, like how Andrew Bailey, Craig Breslow, like how the pitching structure changes as far as like their work, their building repertoire for guys based off of vertical attack angles, spin, like release point, all this shit, like saying like you've been throwing a 2-seam your whole career. That's why you get hit. You should be throwing a 4-seamer, like shit like that the game is learning based off of metrics and analytics and all the information we have. I'm just excited to see, because I think Andrew Bailey did a really good job in San Fran with that, with like Logan Webb and guys, and changing guys' pitch choices, pitch usage based off of their arm action, just their natural, what they do naturally, and then like picking their spots when to throw certain pitches in certain spots in the strike zone. So that's for another pod where we can like really dig in deep on that stuff. Like we don't have to get into that right now, but all that's super interesting to me, and I want to see how there's guys that have already been in Boston, like the Bayos. Like obviously, not to get off the like too deep into this, like Bayo's he can't pitch at the top of the zone. Like he throws gas, but like it gets smacked, right? Because his arm action and his release point and his attack angle screams, I'm a sinker baller. So like when he chases strikeouts, he gets hit because the game tells you like batters are swinging up. So to beat them, you throw up in the zone, but he doesn't have that ride on his fastball. Even though it's 98, it's still coming down back in the zone more than other guys because his release is a sinker. So he needs to pitch to contact. And when he does, and he gets like 12 ground balls, he goes 7 shutty, and that's who he is. So I'm just curious to see how like Andrew and Breslow are going to like build that pitching program.
Do you have a relationship with them at all?
What was that?
Do you have a relationship with them at all?
Yeah, both of them. Yeah.
So what's your read on what they're kind of cooking up over there?
I don't know. I haven't had that conversation yet. I'm not going to make something up. I have not bothered Brez other than a few texts here and there, just because I know how busy he is, and I don't want to be like, "Hey man, what's up? Like, what you doing?"
Yeah.
You know. And then Bailey, I talked to him a little bit about Giolito, and just like he loves what he thinks he can do to him, but he didn't tell me like in detail what he wanted to change. Mm-hmm. I started talking to him about like, man, if he could get a little more, because I'm looking at like his arm angle and like obviously what makes him
the arm
good
path,
is
right?
like when his 4-seamer, it can like really ride at the top of the zone. But like everyone wants to add a sweeper, but his arm action, his release point doesn't scream sweeper.
Right.
So if he can add like a cutter or something to move more horizontal than those right, he didn't do well against right-handed batters. And a righty has got to pitch well against righties, right? And he barely threw his curveball. I think if he throws his curveball more, all of a sudden the four-seamer starts to play up at the top of the zone more because it's that same window. Curveballs pop up at the top of the zone and come down, right? Obviously, sliders come out hard to more horizontal break. When you have something that is more north and south, all of a sudden, look at Cutter, right? He's got a cutter, he's got a breaking ball, and a four-seamer. Those all play well off of each other because of how a batter perceives it coming out of your hand. Like you can pick up side spin. Sometimes on a 12-6 breaking ball, it comes out looking like a fastball and disappears. And that's why you get, all of a sudden, you can throw the fastball at 94 instead of 97 and it plays up and guys can't catch up to it. So it's just like the cat and mouse, the chess game of like trying to figure out, number one, because these guys look at usage. They're like, I talked to some of these guys last year and they're like, yeah, I need to throw my fastball, 37% of the time, like broken down to like that much. I need to throw my slider 21% of the time. Like that's where I'm going to have success. So it's like, I obviously don't know the computer system or the model that tells you, that spits out those numbers, but I'm curious to see what changes within the guys we've already seen the past 2 or 3 years, how they pitch differently based off of what Andrew Bailey and Craig Breslow have built. I don't know.
I mean, I find that shit fascinating. And
I love it.
Yeah, I'm sure Bailey's a guy that we'll probably be able to get on here. Craig, I don't know at all. I don't even think we've met. But Bailey, we interviewed him in spring of 2020. I feel like we could probably get him on at some point just to kind of get inside his mind and his line of thinking with some of these. You
can have a much more normal conversation with Bailey.
Yeah, he's
not
going to.
Craig has to like purposely try to dumb things down to make you to allow you to understand. I mean, remember when he first came on and everyone's like, "What the fuck is he talking about?"
To talk to Craig Breslow.
Yeah, like I'm like Googling words, like what I didn't go to college.
Yeah,
like I don't know these are big words.
Yeah,
and he's dumbed it down a lot since. I think someone probably got in his ear and was like, "Hey, no one understands you."
Yeah, no one knows the fuck you're talking about, dude. Like, just be human, be a real person. Talk to us about baseball, but
I don't even think that was an act. I think that's just like he went to Yale, for God's sake.
Yeah. So did Ryan Lavarnway. He can have a normal fucking conversation
most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah,
I love Barney. I'm just giving a shit.
He's great. All right. Is there anything else that you want to hit on, Will? Are you back with Nesson for next year?
Yeah, I'm back.
Or this year? Whatever.
I'm back. Pretty much same gig as last year. Probably about 50 games pre and post, and then 30 or so in the booth.
There you go. Do you like it?
Yeah, I love it. It's fun. It's way easier than hitting. God damn. Everybody throws so hard now too. Like I've talked to several guys who are out of the game now, like my age, and they're like, dude, there's no shot I could hit in today's game. It's insane. Obviously you adapt and like this is the normal now.
Yeah.
Just like when I played, I guess it wasn't that long ago, but everybody's throwing 100 now. Everybody was throwing 96. When I came in the league, guys were throwing 94. So it's just like, I don't think it can get any higher. Hopefully it cycles back at some point, but we'll see.
Eventually we will hit our human barrier. Like I feel like we're
there because guys get hurt so much.
Yeah.
Not everybody has arms like you.
That's true. I've never had Tommy John surgery. I can tell you that right now.
You throw a wiffle ball better than most people I've ever seen.
I would say I'm in the 1% of people that can throw a wiffle ball at a very high velocity. Like I don't get enough credit for that, but thank you for pointing that out. You were one of the first. Brent Rooker actually. Brent Rooker gave me credit for.
He's a fun interview. He's fun to talk to.
He is.
The first time I ever listened to him talk was when he was on MLB Network.
Yeah.
When he went on there, it was with DeRosa, and they were doing like the stand-up breakdown of everything, and he was talking about his swing, and I was like, holy shit, this guy's fun.
Yeah.
I think he said that Nick Pivetta was like one of the hardest pitchers he's ever faced too. Like he's super open on Twitter about Will, you talk about guys that you struggled against or whatever it may be. To be in it and actually open up about it, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty rare, and it's like you don't get that insight. You know what I mean?
For
to hear what a guy's
like
going through
you
mentally.
would never think. You would think like, okay, who are the toughest guys you face? You'd think like Cliff Lee and like these guys. It was Jeremy Hellickson.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
I hated facing Jeremy Hellickson because he threw it right on right, girl on girl changeup, and he learned it with James Shields in Tampa when it was like really starting, like 2011, 2012, when the righty on right changeup was becoming like a thing. Dude, he could stand up there on the mound and go, throwing a changeup, and I could just corkscrew. I could not wait on it, and then he would throw 92 past me because crazy. I couldn't hit him.
Was he with the
name right
Phillies?
there?
Phillies,
Rays,
the Rays.
Nationals at the
he?
end, I think.
He was with the Diamondbacks. I played against him. I was with the Padres. He was with the Diamondbacks.
I remember like wanting him here. I think whenever he was a free agent, I was Team Hellickson to get him in here.
It just felt like he was like part of that army the Rays had at the time, where it was year after year there was another front of the rotation guy coming out of nowhere. He was at the start
of it. Yeah, he was at the start of it with like Shields. Who else was there? Like
Chris Archer,
David Price was there. I mean,
Garza was there.
Archer,
Matt Garza. I played with him in Milwaukee. Dude's crazy. Like great teammate, fun, but not a dude I'm gonna mess with.
Yeah,
like he has that like probably killed people mentality. Yeah, like
Beckett.
Yeah,
Garza. Who else was
Vicente Padilla?
Padilla's. Yeah, he's definitely got bodies somewhere. Alfredo Aceves definitely got bodies somewhere. Yeah, those guys are
played with some murderers for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of takes that I've had from the very, I didn't realize this, and I'm old takes exposing myself here, but this is, I mean, Twitter was a thing, but Facebook was more of a thing at the time. When the Red Sox signed Adrian Beltre, I didn't love it. I wanted Miguel Tejada.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I wanted Miguel Tejada. They signed Adrian Beltre, and my reasoning for that was I was like, this dude just did this in Seattle, and lifetime at Fenway, he's like a 194 hitter with no home runs in 16 games. Like, way to go, Theo. And he was fucking awesome. Like, I was
playing with Texas when he got his 3,000th hit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, that's a dude that if he had played his entire career in Boston, like that, I don't know, that just the butterfly effect of whatever that means, he would have been a legend. I mean,
we don't have Will.
A legend, but
I'd be traded to Miami.
No.
I'd probably still be playing, but
I mean, like your body type fits. Like, you could have played the outfield too.
I tried to towards the end. I was like super utility the last couple of years of my career.
Yeah, we would have found a spot for you.
They did. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Will Middlebrooks got me through 2012. I'll always be thankful.
Hey man, I was in such like blinders on, like just trying to survive, like kid with all this shit going on around me with the veterans that I like grew up watching, and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna go try to take Ubaldo Jimenez deep. I don't know, like I guess we'll just figure this out. Oh, this reporter's kind of hot too.
Yeah.
Hitting bombs and spin game.
Yeah.
Hell of a combo.
Yeah. Big win. Good for you, Will Middlebrooks.
Jeez.
I'm happy
hey,
that
boys, can we do this more than once?
Yeah.
You did it once with me last year, then you're like, nah.
Well, we didn't really do guests during the season.
Well,
yeah, we didn't do guests during the season because it's hard when most of the guys that we would have on are broadcasters. So like, you're either doing the game or
you guys go right on like right after the last game of the series, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Every time.
So unless I'm in Boston, like if I'm in Boston, I'll just come over and I'll sit right next to you.
There you go.
Ooh. I'm not going to Milliken's house.
No.
I can come to Jared. There's room for me, right?
No. Just no.
Okay.
He went to Jared.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, we could definitely do that. But that's what we do. It's like the game or the series would end, and then we would just start the podcast right after the game would end. So like that.
Well, I got to come home after the game, so.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, like we can just do the podcast right from your bedroom downstairs. So
perfect.
It's entirely up to you. But how was your experience being a Clark's Ketchup Series MVP voter this year?
That was fun. I would always the game would end, and within about 20 minutes, I'm getting a text. Who you got? Mm-hmm. Right. It was fun because I had no idea who anybody else was picking. So it's all based off of like the game just ended, and I'm like going through like the last 3 games, like box scores, like holy shit, like who am I picking here?
Yeah.
I'd say 90% of series I could just like flip a coin between Pablo, JT, and Devers, and it'd be like one of them would play.
Yeah, or Casas.
Or Casas towards the second half.
Yeah.
Is he going to be a monster? Like, I think he's going to be a monster.
Yes.
I do too.
I really he's just weird enough to be like a Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah, he's got that he's got that screw loose where it's like
I shouldn't throw the HOF out there, but
why not?
Like,
I mean, if the dude
He has cornrows now, man. Anything's possible.
Yeah, he's built different.
dude, I hope he sticks with that. That is so nasty. Like, sir, only so many people can pull that off.
And he's doing it. Yeah.
It looks good.
It's like the nails to me. I
look
just
good.
love that it pisses old people off and they get so upset and cranky about it. It's my favorite thing in the
Well,
world.
if him laying in the outfield with his nipples out at Fenway doesn't bother people, cornrows will really set him off, right?
Just go off. I love it. Be you.
Yeah.
We need personality.
There was
The game is, I know we're wrapping up, but like, I know the game has changed so much since like when I came in the league. I guess that was like 12 years ago, which is nuts. I would have been skinned and like buried somewhere if I did that, because I had Beckett, I had Lackey, I had like all these Pedroia. They would have literally lit me on fire in the game. And like, we heard like, oh, like the veterans don't like this, but that's all you heard. Like, that was it. If that had happened 10, 12, 15 plus years ago, that guy would have been off the team. Just because like the game has changed in a way of like where they want you to be yourself because you get the most out of yourself if you're comfortable. And the game never looked at players, young guys like that until like the last few years. When the game is
it's still changing that way. Like,
it still is, but it's so much better for young players now.
Yeah.
I was uncomfortable. Even in my second year, even in 2013, we won a World Series. It's still a veteran-filled team where they told me at the beginning of the year, hey, we're going to treat you like one of us because we need you. You're part of the team. But just know, like, you still got to earn your stripes.
Yeah.
You know? And in 2012, no one even talked to me.
Yeah.
So, but that's just how it was. Like, you speak when spoken to when you're a young guy. And now that's not the case anymore.
Yeah. It's getting there.
I think that's for the better.
Yeah, it's getting there. Because, I mean, like, even when Casas first came up, like, they were like giving him shit for the stuff that he does.
That's
like,
what I'm saying. But it would have been way worse.
Yeah, Cora what?
But he also, if he had come up and raked, they would have been like, "This guy's hilarious."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's result based, and that's in any business. If you're really good at your job, you can do your job on your head. Like, they don't care.
Right.
So it's all if you're raking, like, it's great what you're doing. It's working. This is him. It's his personality. If you stink, everyone's like, this guy's a weirdo. And I don't mean that disrespectful. That's just how people look at the situation. I don't care. Whatever makes you and makes you the best you, do it. I don't care.
I mean, I'm just conditioned differently coming from Barstool where everyone was weird. So, like, we're just like, hey, you know, if people watch and people listen and they buy the merch, then who cares if this guy's a weirdo? People like it, and like, that's all it is. Or same thing, it's like, if this guy's a weirdo but his OPS is over 1,000, who gives a fuck if he's weird? Like, that's
right.
I kind of just learned to do it that way, where like, you may not enjoy that person's content, you may not understand why other people like it, but it's like, well, people do like it, so like, it doesn't have to be for you. That's working. And the same thing with Casas. You know, I may not have cornrows or whatever, and I may not sunbathe and do all this weird shit, but he has an OPS over 1,000. So like, people, it's working. So who gives a fuck?
Everyone's routine in the big leagues is different. Yeah. His just happens to be way more different. But that's just part of his, but that's like, he comes to the field and some guys go in there and do their shoulder program. Some guys go through a yoga routine. Some guys go crush lunch. He strips down and goes and stretches in the outfield at a cathedral, but whatever. Like, it works for him, and that's part of his routine. So it's just like, whatever. And now we're all used to it now. Like, nothing surprises us anymore.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, I haven't heard the clip yet, but I've seen people tweeting about this from Foul Territory. Gary Sheffield was on, apparently. And
today?
Yeah. And he was talking shit about the 04 Red Sox. And people were saying that what he said was just fucking nuts. So I want to play this audio for you guys. I mean, we're all hearing it for the first time. I just know that it's whatever he's saying is probably some nonsense. So here it is.
I heard a couple of stories come out, and it's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. Like when Pedro said that, I think Kenny Lofton or somebody said something that got them going. It's nothing that nobody can say to get you going. You should have been ready to go anyway. You're in the playoffs trying to get to the World Series. And so that ain't have nothing to do with it because we kicked this behind 2 games in a row, and we kicked Schillings behind. And so the bottom line is we lost the game because our relievers couldn't close the game out. That's how we lost the game. And bottom end of story. And so, and then when you hear who's the other guy? Kevin Millar talking about, they just was loose and they was drinking this and that. No, they were scared. The bottom line was they were scared. And I remember going to first base and he was like, man, y'all gonna do us like this. Y'all can't let us get one. Who talks like that in the middle of a game? That's it. That's guys that's scared. The bottom line is they got lucky. And that's what happened. So you took advantage of, y'all had the stronger pitching. Y'all was more deeper in the pitching. And it worked for y'all in the long run. And Joe Torre made some moves that blew it. That's what happened.
I mean,
that's
I love Gary Sheffield, but he's a fucking idiot. Yeah,
I thought it was his son at first when you said that.
Yeah, no, that's Gary. That's Gary Sheffield. The Red Sox didn't get lucky. I mean, there is some luck involved, like the Tony Klark, the ground roll double. I believe it was game 5. Like they had some things bounce the right way, but you got beat, dude. Like it's been 20 years, and you're gonna do an interview.
You know how hard it is to win 4 straight games?
Yeah,
in the big
just
leagues,
in general,
in June.
Yeah,
anytime.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, like yeah. And then,
also that Kevin Millar story. That's exactly why that Luke's that Kevin Millar's joking at first base. Like, damn dog, you really about to fucking end us? Like, this is what you're gonna do? He's laughing. He's not sitting there crying. Like, oh, woo is me. We're done. It's all over. We're gonna get eliminated. No, he's cracking friggin' jokes at first base with you.
If the Red Sox were scared, they would have just lost. Like they were losing 4-3 in the 9th inning of Game 4 with Mariano Rivera on the mound. If they were scared, they would have went up there, punched out 3 times, and gotten swept. They won the fucking series. To this day, it's been 20 years. No team has ever come back from being down 3-0. No team has done it before that. No team has done it since. So, Mr. Sheffield, who I think should be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm a fan of Gary Sheffield, but
should be.
Yeah, he made a lot of dumbass comments right there. Anyways, all right.
Things get clouded after 20 years.
That's true.
I love that it irks him, that it still eats away at him every single day. That's
Jeter too. Jeter still says it like to this day. He's like, and A-Rod, they both talk about it like it was the worst thing that ever happened in their lives, not just their careers. So, good. Suck it. Wait, hold on. One more. Where is it?
He's rusty.
Well, I had something else queued up earlier.
Suck on it.
There it is. Suck on it. All right. Will Middlebrooks, thank you so much for taking the time. Follow him on Twitter. Subscribe to his podcast, Wake and Rake. T-Dog, any final thoughts?
Yeah, if you have a second, go to my Twitter. I wrote up a piece on Vaughn Grissom. It's on the Sports Hub website. Please go check it out. Just a little deep dive on it.
It's very good. I read it right before we came on.
There you go. Jake's takes?
04 Sox got lucky. I think if you're going to take one thing away from this pod, that's what you should take.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back next week.
That's the title, right?
Yeah. Sox out. Like, we'll be back next week with Lucas Giolito of the Boston Red Sox. We'll see you then.
Buenas noches, amigos.